Fight, 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 fight.
Hypocrisy.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Law-Splaining the Interwebs. I'm your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. And with me today is a very special guest, Attorney Tom.
What's going on, y'all? What's happening? I cannot wait to be canceled for appearing on Nick Rekieta's infamous Law-Splaining the Interwebs.
I have heard recently that my show is where reputations go to die.
Fantastic. So I don't have much of a reputation to destroy. So
it doesn't matter. It can die young. That's fine.
The last tweet I made was over 2 years ago. So maybe I'll start getting, if I log on to Twitter, which I never do, I'll be getting a bunch of mentions about how despicable I am for joining this program.
I hope so, because I did tag you. I tagged your sad, stale, barren account.
You know, they'll from what I've seen, they'll probably think of me as inferior. They'll say, "Oh, look, this guy's only got 20 followers on Twitter. He's a nobody."
Yeah, well, it's true though.
Yeah, I mean, it is true. I'm totally a nobody. I mean,
if you don't have,
sake, I have a TikTok account that says everything you need to know about my credibility.
But see, TikTok is this beautiful, horrific Chinese scam where they like load you up with views and subscribers, but they don't pay anything for it. It's great.
Absolutely, it absolutely is. I'm in the creator fund for TikTok.
Is that the thing? You get like $5 for every 100,000 views or something like that?
Yeah, it's around that. It's terrible. I mean, at my TikTok height, which I haven't posted on TikTok in 4 or 5 months, I was averaging 20, 30 million views a month and getting solidly in the hundreds of dollars, maybe.
All the way up in the triple digits.
Yeah,
that's
all the
amazing.
way up in the triple digits, and then when I switched to YouTube, or I've been on YouTube for longer than I've been on TikTok. I've been on YouTube for over 2 years, but when I started putting my effort into YouTube, I realized you could make a video that gets 1,000 views and make $5 from it, and so now it's a game changer. YouTube's where it's at.
A good old, a solid 5, that's like a value meal right there per video. All you have to do to make it in life, you just make one video per day. You get one McDonald's value meal per day. If you crack 1,000 views, what more could you need?
Nothing. You literally need nothing more. And now it's getting to the point where the the YouTube kind of runs itself. I have 2 full-time editors. I film. I practice law during the day. And we talked about a little bit about this when we were hanging out in Houston during Anime Matsuri. But, yes. I either film really early in the morning before I go to work or really late at night, like right now. Well, I'm usually wrapping up by now because I usually go to bed early. I film. I upload it to Dropbox. I have 2 full-time editors. They do their thing at 5 o'clock every day. There's video waiting for me to upload. I watch it. If I like it, I just upload it. And we go from there. And now videos are getting some serious views, and the money is embarrassingly good. I mean, I pride myself on being a real lawyer, which I think.
Whoa, wait a minute! I feel like ninja stars just flew through my body, like it spiritually.
I pride myself on being a litigator, and not. Just to be crass, not you, but I think a lot of lawyers who I've seen on the internet have no idea what they're doing. Ooh. And they have no real life experience or trial experience or any sort of experience. And they like to live in la la land about how the real world works. And it's kind of cute watching their content because you can see they're really try hardy. And then meanwhile, my content is basically shit posting, right?
Which I have learned So like when I started, I was heavy into like, okay, I'm gonna read like these lawsuits. We're gonna go through the pleadings, and it works on rare occasions
Right.
to do that. But then what you realize is that most of the law, like the overwhelming majority of the law, despite what people on law Twitter and stuff like that say, is actually competently practiced. Almost all of it is.
Yeah.
And you may disagree with the legal theory here or whatever, but at the end of the day, you're not getting any comedy out of lawyers because they're all dull, and they don't have time for really levity in these very serious matters. I mean, sometimes you do, right? And all of those get on the Above the Law blog or whatever. That asshole, like they're all there. And but other than that, you know, they're very dry, straightforward recounts of events, sometimes horrific events. It's like, okay, well, this isn't all that entertaining. So you have to switch to shit posting from time to time. Like, you have to do that.
Right. Absolutely. I agree. And just in general, most lawyers, I would make the generalization that if you're a lawyer, there's a 90% chance that we would not be friends. You know, most lawyers are just lame. They're just boring. They're boring rule followers who just, I don't know. They're just not very fun people. And they're not very creative people either, which I think is a huge hindrance, because if you're creative, it helps you so much with being a lawyer, right?
Yeah. Actually, so my senior year of law school, or whatever it is, 3L, my 3L year of law school, actually, I think it was the last semester I did an independent study internship with one of the professors at my school, which is great because, like, if this person and I talked, like if we really talked and had a discussion, I think she would hate me. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, just based on like, we could go with politics or just general attitude and ideas towards life. But we had a very nice working relationship. Very good professor, but she was basically writing a thesis almost. And so what she wanted me to help her research was the idea of including storytelling as a requisite element of teaching in the law school pedagogy. And I was like, yes, no, 100%, because I've talked to some of these people out in this hallway, and they are the most boring storytellers on the planet.
Right.
Like, they could tell you about a bank heist and you would be asleep. It's like, this is a bank. How can this not be entertaining? And they'll be like, well, the perpetrators walked in through the front door. They called for everyone to lay down. A note was slid across the table to the teller. The teller placed money in the bag. The perpetrators left the building. It's like, oh, thank God. Whew. I'm riveted.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's sad. My first ever big trial, and I wasn't even first chair in it. I was just merely I did my thing. I want to be a voir dire specialist. And yes, in Texas, we call it voir dire, not voir dire.
Not voir dire?
We call
Okay.
it voir dire.
Yeah, well, that's Texas French, right? It's voir dire.
Voir dire. So anyway, I was involved in a very big trial. It was great. We won, kicked ass. But in the closing statements closing arguments, I should say, of the trial, the defense's closing arguments were so bad, my hair was standing up from the cringe. I mean, it was cringeworthy. It was,
yeah.
It was, and I'm not just saying that because I was their opponent, but objectively, if a bystander would have been in the room, that it was so unbelievably terrible. And this is a guy who's a partner at a law firm, big fancy law firm. He's got all the bells and whistles, the pedigree, and he's borderline incompetent, you know? It's just,
yeah. It's so one thing that people may not recognize about the practice of law is when your opponent does something good, like they write a spicy brief, They've got a good counter argument to your motion. They slap you down in a negotiation or something. They come in with like a juicy fact. You're like, damn, good job. Like it's not really personal. I mean, it's a little personal for me because I specifically go and defecate in the bathrooms of my opposing counsel.
Yes, that's very important.
You got to do that. But when we're actually when we're talking about just the actual practice, if they get you on an argument, I mean, they get you. Or if they make a great closing statement or opening statement. Now, fortunately, as a defense attorney, it's not often that a prosecutor does anything that is interesting or competent. Like it's just a rare occurrence. But no, when they do, it's like, oh, that's that was solidly done. Good point. Good job.
So Nick, let's I want to see the painting as it hangs right now. I was on the live stream earlier today.
Yeah, there it is.
Oh, looks good.
It's blurry.
Lady Rackets did a good job.
I agree. She did a fantastic job. I love the painting. And then she helped me set up my miniature paint racks back there. So those are full of little paints. So I can be a super nerd and paint little plastic figurines.
Hell yeah.
That was like the most begrudging hell yeah I've ever heard. Like,
no, the next you're gonna tell me, you're gonna send me a message and we're gonna go LARP.
Yes,
you're gonna invite me to go LARPing somewhere
next year at Matsuri, right? Like we've got to bring some foam swords and go kick the shit out of a bunch of people.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what we have to do. I'm sorry. People are asking why my camera angle is weird. I'm sorry. This is my camera where I usually film. My monitor is right here. So I'm looking at Nick Rekieta right here. I'm sorry if that's awkward, but it kind of looks like I'm looking at him in a weird way. But
it's okay. I could move you so I could talk like this. I could move you over to this monitor right here and we could have a conversation this way. That'd be weird.
That'd be weird. And then plot twist, about 30 minutes later, we're actually in the same room.
Yeah, true.
And
that's true. Like I'll hand something across the table and you'll grab it. That'd be perfect.
Yeah.
We should have figured that out. Like that would have been a good gag. Like just in general, if I bought something and you bought the identical thing and it was like, oh, here's this bottle of liquor or something. You're like, oh yeah, thanks. That would have been great. We should have done that. Okay. So what we need to take a step back here. We're 13 minutes into this stream. And I always assume that everybody knows who everybody else is. Because you and your little channel with all your cool subscribers and stuff or whatever. But we need to explain, I guess, for the people who don't know who you are, what you do on YouTube, what you do on TikTok, what you do in real life and all of that stuff. So do you want to kind of like intro that, I guess?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Tommy Kirker, attorney Tom for short. I'm based out of Houston, Texas, the proud home of anime Matsuri.
And the birthplace of me. Woo!
And the birthplace of Nick. Yeah. I'm a catastrophic personal injury lawyer. So what is that?
I thought you were going to say I'm a catastrophic like something. I didn't realize you were going into the profession thing.
Oh, I thought we were going to
No, that was good, but I was just, you're like, I'm a catastrophic. I'm like, oh my God, this is like really self-deprecating. What's going to happen here? But no, you're a catastrophic personal injury lawyer.
I'm a catastrophic personal injury lawyer. I have my own law firm. We have 5 people, 2 offices, one in Houston, one in Lake Charles, Louisiana. My business model is I work on very few cases, probably myself, only working on 20 to 25 files at a time. That's a very small number for anybody who needs context. But all the cases I work on are fairly severe. I don't do cases where you get rear-ended, ow, my back hurts, you need to go to the chiropractor. Well, I shouldn't say I don't do them. Family and friends come in, I'll do those kind of cases. But the majority of the cases that I am going to put time in the day on are the higher end cases, wrongful death, people who get burned, people who get paralyzed, cases that have damages that are very significant and have significant policyholders behind them. So it's usually corporations or, commercial policies that need to be litigated. So cases that might be able to, settle pre-suit or stuff like that. That's not really what I do. So the cases that I'm working on are cases that probably need to go to trial, or at least we prepare to go to trial. So that's a little bit about me. I started my own law firm when when I was 24. I'm only 27 right now.
I was going to say, you're like what, 26, 27?
Yeah, I'm 27. I graduated undergrad in 2 years and law school in 2 years. So I became a lawyer pretty young.
You graduated law school in 2 years?
Yeah. Or
God, you are a nerd.
Yeah.
How'd you, that was what, like 26 credits a semester?
Well, so, okay, you caught me slipping. So technically 2.5 years, but my last semester, I only had 1 or 2 classes. So it was basically a really, really long bar study. And I passed the bar by a bazillion miles because I was not going to take that thing again.
It is shit, man.
Yeah. So I got out of law school pretty young, started my own law firm when I was 24. When I started my own law firm, I quickly got the realization that nobody is going to promote you except for yourself. And the real world is pretty damn tough. Before starting my own law firm, like in law school, I never had a social media presence, never really posted on anything, Instagram, Facebook, never made YouTube videos, none of that stuff. I actually was not on social media at all. But starting my own law firm was kind of a kick in the ass to start making content. It started out more blog style and, like reporting on events, giving my analysis, more of the legal boring stuff that we talked about earlier. And then, as the years went on and I got more comfortable or had more fun in front of the camera, my content started evolving and so did my followers. So now I was one of the very first lawyers on TikTok. I think I was lawyer number 1 or 2 on TikTok. I'm friends with the other ones who I joined in 2019 before it was a big deal. So I kind of had a first mover advantage there. And that allowed me to really take off. I have 700 something thousand followers on TikTok, even though I don't really use it anymore. And now I have another 380,000 subscribers on YouTube. So,
yeah, it's gross.
Yeah. So that's kind of So that's kind of where I'm at. I'm a content creator on the side. Like I said, I still practice law. And yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Yeah, it's great. And you have great content because this is the hallmark, right? You seem to enjoy what you're doing.
I love what I'm doing because I'm in a great position where content creation isn't my job, it's my hobby. Right? Yeah. So the money's great. And all money I make from my content, I put back into my content. So, now we're at the point where we're making thousands of dollars a month from my content, and it all goes back in. So I've been very lucky. I've bought in great gear. We travel for my content. We have some big trips, some big items shown up because, I'm in the position where I can invest money into content and it's all just a business expense, right? Because being what people don't realize, and I'm going to make a video directly about this, being a content creator is probably the greatest business in the entire world because you can do anything. And if you make content about it, or you can, even if you don't make content about it, if it furthers your content business, like you and I meeting up to discuss something, I can say it's a write-off. So my pre-tax dollars, I can do anything I want with it. I want to take a vacation. Okay, I'll film a video about it. Boom. Now it's content, right? Yeah. And I went and I took that vacation because I knew I could get great content out of it, which is true, right? And so you can do anything you want pretty much if you're a content creator and it's producing some form of revenue. It's the greatest scam ever. Legal scam.
It's fantastic. All you have to do is keep your receipts, and you can write off most everything that has any sort of relation to what you do. Unfortunately for me, all of my money goes to children. It's like wrangling them, caring for them, feeding them, or whatever. But no, I still get to enjoy the benefits. It's why I finally, like, my whole life I've loved computers and like building them and all that stuff. And I could never afford anything because I was, I didn't have any money. And I didn't have a good job. And so then now it's like, oh, I want to buy the best processor. I literally just go and I click buy, and I can write it off. If I want a second machine to stream from upstairs, I can just click buy and then write that off too. And it's great. I haven't justified writing off the hot tub yet, but I'm still thinking about starting that OnlyFans. And really getting into it.
Yes. Let me know. I'll fly up there for a guest hot tub stream.
Wait, are you serious?
Yeah, I'll do it. It'd be great. Think of the content. I can just write off the trip.
We'll talk. We'll talk. You're welcome up here. I even have a place for you to stay.
Fantastic.
I even have a place for your SO to stay too, if you need to.
Wow.
So
yeah.
Right. They're in different places. Like
right.
one.
No. What I was assuming is we put her and Lady Rackets in the same room, and then you and I sleep in the same bed.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But head to toe, so it's not weird. Right.
Yes.
As long as you don't make eye contact, it's fine.
I don't make eye contact, but I do. Well, never mind. We won't get into the toe thing. Because you said head to toe, but it's like mouth to toe. Like at the end of the day.
Yeah. There's no problem with that. I mean.
Okay, good. As long as we're on the same page with it. By the way, what are you drinking? That looks like a purchased coffee.
It is not. It is coffee. It's not a purchased coffee. I have a Keurig at my house.
But you have like disposable styrofoam cups.
Yeah. Yes. So something you should know about me is I am incapable of caring for myself. Getting a coffee machine, a Keurig, was a huge step. It was actually a Christmas gift. My girlfriend and I eat out every single meal.
Nice.
Everything we have is disposable, so we can just throw it away because, again, I am incapable of caring for myself. I have a person come to my house once a week to clean the house, do the laundry, because I'm incapable of caring for myself. Literally, the only thing I do is I wake up, I be a lawyer, and I create content. That's about it.
Amazing.
I don't really have too much of a social life. I don't have any kids. I like to play golf, but other than that, I'm incapable of doing anything else. It is just a fact, and I get to work. Well, I justify it as, content, and working a lot allows me to pay for the necessities because I cannot take care of myself.
So this year, we hired someone to help with the children because we homeschool, which means not that you're at home, but that you're driving their asses all over the place. Like that's what homeschooling actually means, because you have to have them involved in all sorts of activities that would normally be encompassed by a school. So if they want to do dance or something, like my daughters do dance, and so you got to take them to dance. If they want to do band or whatever, you have to pick a local school in the area and have them do their ensemble band stuff there, or they do violin. So I was driving all over the place, and so we hired someone to help out mostly with transportation of the kids and stuff like that, while we do other stuff around the house. So that way we don't have to, because out here, out in the country, anywhere you go, it takes 20 minutes to get there. You're there for like 30 minutes and then it takes 20 minutes back. And it's like, that just kills in the middle of the day. That just kills whatever you're doing.
Right.
And so I was writing the check for this person today, and I'm like, son of a bitch, God, it's expensive. And then I thought, oh, wait, but I'm buying time. Like you can't even put a price tag on it. It just costs a fortune because it is the most valuable thing in your life is
right.
time. And so it's yeah, I get that.
Yeah,
I very much get that.
yeah. My girlfriend and I earlier this year we tried like Hello Fresh or one of the food
Like Blue
delivery.
Apron or
Yeah,
something.
like Blue Apron or whatever like that. And we ordered a month's worth, and we literally did the first day, and that was it. And it took us about an hour and 15 minutes to to perform, to make the ingredients or
Yeah.
whatever. Even though the ingredients were like pre-cut or whatever, like putting them in the oven or whatever, took like an hour and 15 minutes. And I made a unilateral decision. My girlfriend, if she's listening or on the stream, she got really upset with me. I mean, I just told her, I was just like, this takes too long. Like, I'm not gonna spend an hour of my day making food. I'd
Yes.
rather go spend $50 for dinner or whatever, because I value an hour of my time more than making, the cost of dinner, right?
Yeah, more than the difference between the dinner that you have to prepare and the dinner that you buy. So, like, people look at, well, eating out at a restaurant's really expensive. First of all, talk to me after you have 5 little rugrats eating.
Yeah,
it.
I can't
It
imagine.
gets really, really pricey. But the thing is, it's like, okay, if I'm going to buy enough food for everybody to eat, it's like $40 in raw food. If I'm
Right.
going to take everybody out, well, sure, it's $100 for the family to eat. If we go sit down somewhere, I mean, if we just grab, Qdoba or something like that, it's not that expensive. But if you go sit down and eat,
Hold on,
meal,
I need to interrupt you.
yeah, what's up?
Qdoba, really? Not
What do you do?
Chipotle?
Do you wait? You're a catastrophic injury attorney, and you still eat at Chipotle?
Yes, dude, you eat at Qdoba?
You want to be a pro se litigant or something? Like, are you trying to salmonella yourself into an early grave?
You would take Qdoba over Chipotle with a straight face?
First of all, there isn't a Chipotle within an hour of my house.
Okay.
And there is a Qdoba about 15 minutes away.
Gotcha. Well, that makes sense. Okay.
Second of all, I don't know. I think Qdoba has turned me. I think so. I used to like Chipotle but they something happened and they got not as good. So that's my opinion. And if you have a different opinion, that's fine. You're wrong.
Yeah. Okay. That's fine. That's fair.
But anyway, so but it's the difference. You can't measure like how much it costs. You have to measure what the difference is, and then how much time you saved, and that's the value that you're buying on that.
Yeah.
So anyway, no, I get it. We don't go out to eat very much because taking kids out to eat is actually more time than not. But we have been ordering a lot of stuff now that everybody does takeout. Yep. After coronavirus. Everybody has takeout and some people will deliver. So that's been high, but I actually cook a lot. I like to cook. But I hate dishes. So we have all paper dishes.
Yeah. Right on. See, same theory. Yeah. Just throw them away.
Yeah, exactly.
Toss them away.
Yeah.
Let law Twitter cancel you for ruining the environment, but
good.
Whatever.
Yeah. That's what I want to do. I'm actually trying to. Did you see that, by the way, out in, so speaking, I was talking about computers and stuff earlier, out in California, and this is kind of a legal topic in a weird way, but out in California, and there are 6 other states, some new energy regulations just came into effect earlier this month. And now you cannot buy certain hardware for computers or pre-built systems because they're too energy consumptive. So for example, the top end Alienware configurations, the 2 top ones that they have, if you're in California, you try to order them, Dell cancels your order and says, nope, we can't ship them to California. I think it's Colorado is another one. There are a couple different states, and it's amazing.
That's so lame. My problem with everything is I get it. Listen, we talked about this in person. I'm fairly, I'm probably fairly more liberal than you. Not that I care or whatever. I'm pretty easy going or whatever. I get the whole energy consumption. I get the whole, saving the world. I get, global warming, all that stuff. But the people in charge are a penny smart, a pound foolish, whatever the saying is. Penny smart, dollar foolish. I guarantee you, if we dug into it, for every one Alienware computer that they're stopping, there's some just monstrosity, atrocious, inefficient, government-backed energy sector something that is just running rampant. And
Well, it's like,
and that's what makes me mad. It's just totally unfair.
what was like when they were having the water issues out in California, and they're like, "Oh, we got to conserve water. You can't flush your toilets." And then you find out that, like, even if everybody all over, like both commercial and if every toilet in California wasn't flushed, it was like 1% of the daily water use of the almond farming that goes
Right.
on in California. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, you're not saving water. It's a negligible amount. What are we talking about here? But
Right.
I just find it funny for all of the content creators out in California who are like esports gamers and stuff like that. They're going to have to like deliver their computer orders to a different state and go pick them up. That's great.
I I really don't see people living in California for very long. I mean, I think this exodus is real. I have no idea. I mean, I was just in California over the weekend. I was in Napa, and yeah, it was cool. It was okay. It was cool. I was there for a wedding. And I went to undergrad in California. I went to undergrad in UC Santa Barbara. My mom grew up in San Diego. So my mom, I grew up going to California. I love California. I don't know how people can live there, especially if you have the choice. Like, if you're a content creator, why wouldn't you content create in Nevada or Texas or literally anywhere else? You're literally taking money and you are throwing it in the garbage living there.
Oh yeah,
So,
it's horrendous. What a terrible plan. Actually, it's kind of like living in Minnesota, in all honesty. It's about the same.
really? What's your state income tax?
It tops out at 12%.
Oh my, what
We
the
have like
hell is that?
we have like the second highest state income tax in the country, and our estate tax does not follow the federal estate tax. And so it's still stuck where the estate tax was like, oh, Bainling, you motherfucker. Sorry. One of my mods suggested I do something and it ruined YouTube. God, I hate
On the subscribers only mode?
Yeah, I put on subscribers only mode because we get these spam bots that come through. But it takes all of the super chats that have come in and are nicely organized in the little thing, and it erases them. And so now I have to go to the less organized system to get them. I'm like, why would you change this? This was such a good system that you had, and then they just ruined it. So I hate everything. Anyway, where were we? Oh yeah. So our estate tax is still like 1.2 million plus per individual, whereas Fed it's like 10 million or something like that, or maybe it's 5.2 million per individual. I can't remember, but the Minnesota, like, and out here you've got a ton of farmers, and that's the real problem. Is these farmers want to pass on 800 acres of land. And you are pushing that 1.2 million limit just on land,
Right.
Not to mention you got a $250,000 tractor or two out there. And suddenly, like, these farmers who have a lot of equipment and a lot of assets, but are cash not rich. I won't call them poor, but they're cash not rich. They have to sell part of the land just to keep the family farm going.
Yep.
And Minnesota is stupid.
So I got a fun Texas estate story. I don't know the exact year. It's an infamous story. It was either 2005, 2006, 2007, 2008, one of those years. There was a lapse. There was a lapse in the Texas estate code where one code ended in like I'm making up these. It's
2011.
Dates. Right. Oh, it was where the lapse happened. Okay. So,
yep.
All right. So for everybody to get up to context, there's a lapse. So from 2010, so on January 1st, 2011 to December 31st, 2011, there was no estate code, right? So it ended at the end of 2010, and the new one didn't take place till the beginning of 2012. So people who died in 2011 didn't have to pay basically estate tax, right? Or inheritance on the state level.
And when you get up to hitting that estate tax in 2010, it was 55%. And then in 2012, it dropped all the way down to like 45%.
Right.
But it's a massive amount of money because you're talking about you're in estates that are in the millions of dollars.
Right. So the richest guy in Texas, who's a billionaire with a B, died on his death record like December 31st at like 11 something p.m.
Kill him quick.
And you know that guy was on his deathbed, probably had a week or two or days left, and his family just yanked the plug. They wanted him out, and they got it. They got the death certificate. They got it passed. So his whole estate passed with zero taxes. At least on the Texas level.
I know several wealthy people who had their it wasn't just Texas, that was also the Fed lapse happened at the same time. So it was a full, like, there was no estate tax anywhere in 2011. But I know several wealthy people who had living wills that executed only during the calendar year of 2011. So if they had do not resuscitate orders from January 1st, 2011 through December 31st, 2011, but on January 1st of 2012, resuscitate me, keep me alive, all that stuff went right back into effect. And it was amazing. and it was because they wanted to pass on what they had built to their children. Like it wasn't the kids doing that. It was the actual the people who were like, I earned, like, I don't want to give a check to the government. That doesn't make any sense. I want to just give this to my kids, you know? But, yeah, it's that estate tax thing. I whatever anybody believes about taxes in general, I'm like, taxes are theft. But with the estate tax in particular, I don't see the justification of the government saying, well, you died, so now you owe the state money. Like it is illogical to me. Like I don't agree with the income tax, but I guess you could say they facilitated the income that you would earn by providing infrastructure and an economy that's somewhat managed or something, I guess. But with the state taxes, I don't get to even a distinction that I disagree with. Like I just don't get anything.
Yeah. And this is where I kind of, just to be a hypocrite of myself, as we talk about writing off things and, living in Texas or whatever, it's kind of like you want everything for everybody else, but not for yourself. I mean, I get the point of, taxes and taxing the rich or paying your fair share or whatever.
I get the point. I disagree with the logic of it is what I'm saying. But
yeah, but what makes me mad is even if we generate all this money and if we increase revenues for the government, which, may or may not be a bad thing, it's just so inefficiently spent. And it's people on both sides. I mean, I think if you're a politician, you're literally incompetent. I mean, you're a politician because you couldn't get a successful job doing something else, right? And they were just incompetent. I mean, if you look at I saw this article about military spending, right? And it showed how much money they spend on the military and, like a cup holder. Like, oh, I got a cup holder for my F-16. Each cup holder costs $120,000. Like, great. I'm glad we're spending $120,000 on a cup holder for an F-16. Meanwhile,
you want to spill your coffee when you're accelerating. You're pulling like a 5G turn. That cup holder has to be serious. I mean, what are you talking about?
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, that's what the lobbyists for Lockheed Martin are gonna say, right? Meanwhile, the executives are just laughing their ass off. They're probably, in their private meetings, just loving how much of a grift they're pulling off. It's just a grift. I mean, everything's a grift, and I respect the grift. I respect the grift, but the government's job should be to call out grifts and not get grifted.
Right. And the government participates actively in the grift all the time, and they do it with the force of law, which makes it worse.
Right. And if anything, the government should be the grifter, not the griftee. And the problem that I think I have is that the government is the griftee. If they were the grifter and we were all bitching about how much taxes we have, but then, it was spent somewhat well, then they're just a grifter. And I think that's like the inherent, liberal position. But once you become the griftee, then it's an issue because you're basically being a shitty grifter to your people and then, giving it away.
And then all of us, we're all the grifted.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And all the people with government contracts are the grifters. They're the ultimate grifters.
Yeah, I wish I could do that. God, that would be such a sweet gig. Like when it's so funny whenever like you see some of these people who it's like, oh, they went from whatever to consulting and they're like a government lobbyist. It's like, what's their salary? It's like, oh, $638,000 a year. You're like, Jesus Christ. Like, where do you find these salaries anywhere else? And it's like, well, they work for the Rand Corporation. It's like, oh my God. Like, how did they afford this? Like, how does this company run efficiently? And we're not talking, these are executives either. That's the crazy. It's like, well, that's their consulting fee.
Right. And all they do is they're best friends with whoever's the decision maker. And they just they take him for a beer and they say, hey, bud, it'd be really cool is if my company got your $40 billion contract. That's it.
Yeah.
That's literally it. I mean, like I said, I respect the grift. I just don't like when the government is the griftee. I'd appreciate it way more if they were just
and you are the griftee by proxy.
Right.
Because your taxes are the ones funding.
Grifted. I'm the
right, the grifted.
Yeah.
Okay, let me hit some of these super chats since YouTube decided to screw up the whole thing. This is from Tradeo. Says, Attorney Tom, Kentaro Miura has died. How do you end the Berserk series in his stead?
This is very shocking news to me. I've never heard of this.
Really?
I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding. I watch your stream all the time. I know this is brought up constantly.
Do you watch Berserk though?
Yeah, I've seen the original, and I know they've made like a bazillion spinoffs and a bazillion other like sideshows, or I don't know.
Yeah, well, it was still going. I mean, the main manga was still going, so theoretically the show was still going too. But yeah, it's. Do you like it? I liked it. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, that was cool. I mean, it was like kind of a unique animation style, or however they did. I thought it was okay. Cool. Nothing like too memorable in my opinion. I mean, I would never.
Super violent though.
Right, super violent, super gory.
That's what you need. Anime is about murdering everything, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Like people are like, well, what kind of anime do you like? Do you like comedy anime? I'm like, no. Well, what about slice of life? I'm like, hell no. But it's got to have ninjas, robots, or robots that are also ninjas. Like that's what I want, and I want them chopping people up. That's it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, explosions, ninjas, whatever. Andrew War Snowboard says the Cleveland Guardians are facing a lawsuit from a local roller derby team of the same name. Could they change it again? Hopefully back to Indians. What do you think on that one?
Well, I know nothing of copyright or trademark or whatever, but I would imagine if there's a roller derby team, they just want money to go away. So even if they have a terrible trademark to the name or an insignificant trademark, the Cleveland baseball team is going to give them $100,000 just to say, hey, this is going to be cheaper than the legal fees, and you release your claim to us. I mean, it's just what's going to happen. It's just a grift. Everything's a grift. I mean,
everyone's being grifted,
and there's
all the
nothing,
time.
and there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with a grift. It's just, you got to play the game, and it costs money to play the game. And the roller derby team is going to get a great set of roller skates for everybody.
That's right.
And they're going to be happy with it. And ultimately, they are going to get more recognition because they have people are going to associate them with the baseball club, which is going to be a good thing for them, not a bad thing. So they're going to get $100,000, $200,000, whatever it is. And they're going to get some extra attention. It's a win-win all the way around.
They should demand a percentage of ticket sales.
They would get. See, that's the problem. If you grift too hard, you're going to get.
you gotta grift it good.
If you grift too hard, the Cleveland baseball team, their CEO is going to say, "We're going to bury them in legal fees." And this is what we were talking about at the beginning. This is how the real world works. The way in the real world, if you if you bite the hand that feeds you, and they go after, you know, the Cleveland baseball team, the Cleveland baseball team will file a bazillion motions, and they will conduct expansive discovery, expansive depositions, and they will literally bankrupt the skater team. And so it's going to cost them more than the $100,000 than it would have at the very beginning, which is why they're going to offer it to settle. But they are going to destroy the other team, right, wrong, or indifferent.
No, that's right. Yeah. My favorite, this is what I know about trademark, and this is my favorite horrible trademark case. Okay. Are you familiar with the country band Lady Antebellum?
Yes.
That now goes by Lady A, because antebellum refers to prior to like the Civil War. So that was deemed to be racist. And so they changed their name to Lady A. But turns out that there was already a Lady A who happened to be a black female jazz singer who has been using Lady A for several years. And when confronted with this, the new Lady A, the Lady Antebellum, they sued her for her name and won. And that was terrific. Like, that's exactly what I think is going to happen with the Cleveland Guardians, is that, you know, if they really need to, they'll turn it out. But I mean, it defies, I don't understand how they got to the victory there, because, you know, clearly this is a female jazz singer using this name in trade. They're in the exact same profession, at least with the roller derby team. That's like, this is MLB versus roller derby.
Right.
I mean, come on. This is like Best Buy versus the Best Buy ice cream shop. Right. But these were two singers, like two singing performance artists. And then one gets to steal the name that the other one had been using for 2 decades. And I was like, how do you get to this result? And the comedy to me, the pure spice was they were doing it to be less racist, but then 3 white people took the name of a black performing artist.
Yeah.
Like, that is, that's,
yeah. I'd be curious too on the damage model. I mean, even if you prevail on your trademark infringement, what damages, you know, and again, this is just out of ignorance, not that I just straight up do not know. You know, are there statutory damages? Are there, you know, if like, let's just say the roller derby team prevails, right? What damages did they suffer? I would argue that it actually helps them, because now people know they exist, right?
Yeah. Well, and that's the strategic lawsuit, right? Is that them bringing this action, no matter the result, they can bring this action, raise outrage against the monolithic MLB team that's crushing them or whatever, then get some people to show up to a couple roller derby games. Maybe they become longtime fans. They're like, oh, by the way, roller derby, I'm going to say it. It's controversial. I don't care. It's the most oversold, under-delivering, boring sporting event I have ever been to.
I wouldn't know. I don't even know. I don't really even know what roller derby is. I know they
I've been to one. I don't even know what it is either. It's garbage. It is not interesting. It's not fun. It seems fun, like roller derby in the 80s, like how it was like professional wrestling on roller skates. And it was like, there were like personas and stuff. So what they've kept
like wrestling.
Yeah. They've kept the personas and the funny names, and they got rid of everything else that's good. And so now I only went to one because I had doubleheader tickets back during the hockey strike. Minnesota filled the hockey stadium with the lacrosse team. And lacrosse is fun. That is a cool sport because they fight as much as hockey players, but they're standing on feet instead of ice skates. So they actually just tackle each other and beat the hell out of each other. And this is great. High scoring games, lots of action. But so I go to see the Minnesota Swarm playing lacrosse. And then right after that, they transitioned into the roller derby. They pulled up all the AstroTurf and everything, rolled it all up, and then laid out the roller derby mats. And the roller derby thing came out, and I'm like, this is gonna be awesome, because I'm like expecting like elbows and body slams, and it was the most boring thing. Like it's literally just a bunch of women skating in an oval.
That's super disappointing.
I hated every second of it. So I hope the Cleveland Guardians, like as much as I hate that the Cleveland Indians changed their name to the Guardians, I hope that the Guardians roller derby team gets wrecked because I hate the sport. There we go.
But I mean, and see, this is where I don't really have too much of an issue. I have an issue with, a lot of the woke cancel culture kind of stuff. But and this is where I try to empathize, is the term Indian or Redskin. I mean, certainly Redskin, I think
Redskin was named
bad.
It was named after like one of the early lineman coaches or something like that, who happened to be Native American. It was a term of endearment, apparently. Now that's what's interesting about it. But what teams want to do is what teams want to do. But I think the question is, are people actually mad about the names? Or are these teams trying to virtue signal? Because there is a difference. If a bunch of people are like actually genuinely offended, then it might be in a team's best interest to make some decisions. I'm not 100%. I'm not even 50% convinced that there's a appreciable level of people who are genuinely offended, because most of the native tribes in Washington are like, no, we don't care about this. Like, it's not an issue for us.
Right.
And so then I'm like, well, why are you doing this then? But, and I felt the same way about Cleveland, but I could be wrong on that. That's just my.
Right. And that's fair. And, my big thing is I think you need to be able to have difficult conversations, right? And talk about things openly and not just, hey, this is the way it needs to be. Let's boycott or cancel everybody for disagreeing, which I think is the biggest issue.
No, and I'm with you like that. I hate, I don't do boycotts. Like, if I don't like something, I don't buy it, but I'm not out there advocating. I'm like, you can't buy it either, because blah, blah, blah. It's like, just vote with your own wallet and everything's good.
Yeah. I mean, literally my two best friends in the entire world are polar opposites of me, and that's why we get along. We have, it's good to have discourse, and it's fun to yell at each other in a fun, between friends. If I'm talking to a stranger who I disagree with, I'd be a lot more polite, but I'm not going to get upset or, offended if somebody has different views or whatever. And I think the problem with the internet, this is kind of why I don't like Twitter and why I don't like
Twitter's cancerous.
Or what's the other one called? I tried it out for a day and I was like, this is dumb. Clubhouse. Clubhouse.
What the hell's Clubhouse?
Clubhouse is it's like Twitter, but only for like voice memos or voices, right?
Oh God.
I think anything where people can hide behind and not show their face, right? That's why I like TikTok. That's why I like YouTube, is because in order to say something, at least you have to be the one saying it, right? I can't just make an avatar with, on Twitter, I can make an avatar, stick some anime girl in the profile picture.
Let me introduce you to VTubing and ruin your life.
What's VTubing?
It's exactly what you just said. So they have these programs where you take like an illustration program and you make typically an anime avatar. And then you have, there's software that maps your face in real time, and it projects your facial motions onto an anime avatar instead. Man. So it
allows the being anonymous, essentially.
Yeah. Now what happens is that VTubers, they're all like, right? They're all cutesy anime girls, and they make infinite money. They make everybody else on YouTube look like rank amateurs in how much money they make. It's embarrassing.
So what you're saying is I should start a VTube channel.
Right after saying exactly what you just said, I think you have no other choice.
It is a grift. Listen, again, I'm no problem being a hypocrite. I'm just, I'm one, there's like, in theory, Tom, who wants to advocate for the general good. And then there's, grift Tom, who I'm just out for myself, man. I mean, I get it,
Yeah, it's horrifying. It's horrifying. You'll have to like, I don't know.
Money. I just want to know. See, who are the people who are so obsessive? Because it's just like anything else. I'm sure 80% of their revenue comes from 20% of the people, right?
Probably.
And who are the people who are just so
They're
obsessed with, the fictional persona that these people put on? We got to have like Jordan Peterson or something analyze these,
I don't question it. One, because I make revenue in a very similar way, doing the live streams and stuff like that. But two, because, well, if you've got the money, you can do what you want. I don't understand it though. Like, I don't understand the VTuber thing. I know that a lot of people kind of disagree with me on that. That's fine. I'm just not going to get it. I'm not going to get it. But when you look at the playboard for the top super chatters in the world, and 18 of the top 20 are VTubers, and Tim Pool is like number 19. Right? Like, there's a thing with it. There's something about
Right.
VTubing that I have a whole bunch of theories on how, but it attracts a certain audience that are predisposed to spending large amounts of money on what they like, because they come from sort of the world of anime, which has monetized every single thing. Like, there's a monetizable aspect to every element of life if you're into anime.
Yeah.
Right? Like, we could probably get these beautiful RE20 microphones with anime tits on the sides of them.
Hell yeah, whatever. We should do that. if that's not a thing, we should make it a thing and become billionaires.
Yeah, I think so. And it'll be like a 2-channel mic. You could talk into one boob and then the other one. That'd be perfect.
Right. Or you can have like little controls on them, like little buttons in them.
They can grow or shrink, like if you need a different size. This is a perfect plan. So VTubing actually does exist. It's extremely popular on YouTube right now. There's actually an agency called HoloLive, and they are the predominant purveyors of VTubers. They're a talent agency. They grab people, they create an entirely new persona from HoloLive, they get promoted, and they go straight up. But I've heard, and I would love to get my hands on one, but I've heard the contracts from HoloLive are insane. Like 50% of the revenue goes to HoloLive, and you're like, whoa, like that's a lot.
And they own you. They probably own the channel. So if you leave, and I guess that's the good thing from a business perspective, if it's anonymous, right? If your talent disagrees with you, kick them out. I'll just hire somebody else to be the voice.
Yeah.
People, it only takes about 10 videos and people will get over it, right? If
in theory, I will not say that, because the VTuber community is very, very adamant that the VTubers themselves are the greatest entertainers to have ever lived, and that because all physical attributes are nullified by the fact that it's all an anime, like everybody has the ability to be this certain physical characteristics that they want, that there is that it's the purest form of capitalistic, I guess, merit-based, a meritocracy. I disagree with that, but there are people who think that.
Yeah.
No, and who am I to question?
Hey,
I'm just a guy.
I'll tell you what, there is a serious, and I've tried to address it or help some friends out. There's a serious lag in the content creator economy with respect to representation on the content creator side. A lot of these agreements that I've seen, you can take, and even right now as a business, you can go to some of these top influencers who get millions and millions and millions of impressions and pay them pennies for what their worth is to do an ad spot. And also you can have the contract written in such a way where you basically own the underlying content and have their rights in perpetuity. I've, through my random TikTok fame, I have represented a few large TikTokers. And when I say large, I'm talking about tens of millions in the 15, 16, 17 million club. I mean, people who, are mainstays on TikTok. And I've negotiated deals for some of these guys and girls. And just the contract terms that they're initially presented with are so bad. And then also on top of that, a lot of the talent are signed with these talent agencies who provide no value. So what happens is these talent agencies, when these creators are rising up through the ranks, these talent agencies come in and they say, listen, we'll help you out, we'll get you deals. 30% or 40% of all revenue that you make is going to be ours, but that's what we get for bringing in the deals. But they don't bring in any deals, because the way that deals get brokered now are literally through direct communication or DMs. So let's just say Coca-Cola wants to do a brand deal with this huge creator with 15 million views or whatever. They're not going to their agent. They're literally DMing them and saying, hey, what's your email? Let me send you our contract. And so these kids, I've had probably 4 or 5 just through referrals contact me like, hey, I'm in this really bad agreement with my talent agency. They don't do anything. And I want to get out of it. And I look at the contract and, it's like, dude, sorry, man, you're in this thing for the long haul, for the duration of the contract or whatever. Or if you break it, you're going to have to pay X amount of dollars, right? Which might be a better long-term or solution. But I mean, talk about a total grift.
Well,
that is a grift.
So this fills over into 2 areas or 3 areas where I have direct experience. The first one, early on in my YouTube channeldom, a guy reached out to me and he said, hey, I'm a music producer. I cut a song, and there's a production company that they want to buy the song and license the rights or whatever. And he's like, well, you take a look at the contract. So I'm like, sure, man, send it over. So I look at this thing, and they owned everything. Like they owned the song. They owned any subsequent productions of the song. They owned any music that he created that could be related to the success of the song for like 10 years and all this stuff. And I sent it back. I'm like, this is the most horrifying contract I can imagine. They will own everything you make, and there's no guarantee that they'll actually distribute it and earn revenue to return to you. And he was going to get like $500, right? Like it was an embarrassing amount of money. And I responded to it, and the guy said, thanks for letting me know, but hey, this is my shot. And I was like, I mean, but it isn't though. That isn't your shot. You're worth more than that. But that was kind of his answer. And it was like, this is an oppressive contract. You wouldn't allow this anywhere else, but in entertainment, you can do anything.
Right.
The next
I'm sorry. Well, the problem is with music and with content creators now, there's a dime a dozen, right? So unless you get really, and I tell the content creators, the smaller ones that reach out to me, the 1, 2, like even if you have 1, 2, 3 million viewers or followers on TikTok, that's nothing. And I'm saying that, I have 700,000. That's nothing. No, TikTok followers don't mean shit. Unless you have like the 15, 16, 17 million, unless you're truly in like the top 200 creators in the world, you have no leverage. If you deny their contract, they're just going to go to somebody else. Why would they negotiate with you? Right.
Right.
I mean, but if you really break into that really top tier, then you can really start demanding and bargaining some real stuff. Now it's completely different on YouTube. YouTube, if you have 100,000, like I would argue Nick, you have 170,000 subscribers, but your subscribers freaking love you. You have such a strong base that 170,000 subscribers is way more valuable than someone like me, right? I have 380,000 subscribers, but 5% of people who subscribe to me watch my videos, right? It's super sporadic. Now I cover a more like general variety of things, which is why I get more subscribers, because some people will see one video, subscribe, and then never watch a video again, right? Yeah. But I mean, it's just a completely different game on YouTube, and people they're just so taken advantage of.
As Viden the Cold One says, I hate you. No, and that's why I got a good sponsorship right now. This isn't an ad spot, but from Ridge Wallets. I got that, and I actually have the ability to negotiate with them, it's the opposite of what you're talking about with TikTok. I mean, I don't have a ton of leverage, but I do have a little because people actually do. And especially with Ridge, I think this is like their 4th time now, sponsoring the show, is that they know that people actually look into their stuff when I talk about it. And one of the reasons that Anime Matsuri reached out to me in the first place was because back in 2019, every time they would wake up in the morning and they would see a big spike in like ticket sales or traffic to their website, and they would go back and they would find that I had mentioned Anime Matsuri on a live stream. And so they're like, this guy keeps mentioning us, and we keep selling tickets because of it. So because of that, that has led into me having a nice little relationship with them, which next year I have something that's going to blow everybody's mind if we can pull it off, but I can't, we'll see.
By the way, for the chat, I went to Nick's chat, or what do you, your panel. I went to your panel during Anime Matsuri. It was very good. I sat through the whole thing. I got some good footage. Did you ever even look at it? I mean, there's maybe some good side
I haven't looked through there yet. I will. I've just been, dude, you know how it is.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
I need to, because I need to put together an Anime Matsuri like recap compilation. I really want to do that. And you took all the pictures. Like I didn't even.
I got some good shots. I stood up in the middle of it, and I went to the side and got some angle shots, and I got some live action shots of you speaking to the crowd. I think that looked pretty good. There are a lot of people. I don't think people can grasp how many people were in that room. There's a lot of people in that room.
I found out the max capacity of that room sitting was 800. So estimates are around 600 people.
I would imagine. Yeah, I would definitely say, I was going to say 500, 600, 700 people were in that room. And to your credit, that people watching, I got lost. I went into like 3 or 4 panel halls before finding Nick's. They were all empty. So it's not like, that was the standard. You get a panel hall and then people just show up. People showed up for Nick's, and it was very good and very entertaining.
Yeah, it's great. And next year we're gonna do a whole lot more.
Awesome.
So guys, I have a couple things here. I forgot to mention, I'm drinking this Wiggle Pennsylvania straight rye. It's not a gay rye, it's a straight rye, but it's still okay in 2021. This was sent to me by my man Garrett. Thank you. It's really, really good. But
I need to go get a cup. I'm gonna drink as well.
Okay. So I actually have been drinking this already, and I took, because my Lady Racket stream earlier got over 1,000 likes on the live stream, which was amazing, by the way, because it was only 20 minutes. Like, people hammered out just hammering on the likes on that. It was great. Thank you guys for showing up, by the way, and supporting that. I had no idea that it was my anniversary gift from Lady Rackets is this painting. It's out of focus, but yeah, it's so cool. So anyway, I've drank my 1,000 like shot for that. So for today's 1,000 like channel, or 1,000 likes, not only will I drink this, but I think that Tom has an exclusive video to debut here on the show live. Is that right?
Yes, I have an exclusive video just for Nick. And
so that's on you, chat. You got to get to 1,000 likes to see exclusive, never before aired Attorney Tom content.
It may or may not have something to do with me getting stepped on at Anime Matsuri.
It never would. You would never be stepped on. I know you. You're a man of courage.
Yeah, I'm not a cuck.
So we'll check on that in a minute. I wanted to say 2 more things with the creator stuff, the creator thing. The next thing that I saw where creator rights or whatever were getting absolutely trounced. Did you follow at all the FaZe Banks lawsuit where it was FaZe Clan, their big esports team? They live in like an $11 million mansion in LA. And one of the guys was trying to leave, but his contract was basically like, you can't, like, if you leave, they had a, like a like an exclusivity clause, and he was done. I can't remember the guy's name. Well, Banks, I guess. And I read through that contract, and it is one of the most abusive contracts you could imagine. They owned they owned his name, they owned every piece of content he's ever put out. So if they owned technically his Twitch channel, his YouTube channel, whatever it was it was amazing. And he lost. He lost that lawsuit.
I mean,
phase one.
They're so predatory. And listen, from a grifter standpoint, I get it, right? Because you can take a no name, you can take Attorney Tom, and you put Phase in front of it, right? And suddenly I'm Phase Attorney Tom. Overnight, I get 5 million followers. I get a devoted fan base.
Tfue. Yeah, it was Tfue.
Yeah, Tfue. Yeah, Tfue. Yeah. I see. Yeah. I've and they run you and they own you, and you cannot leave. And when nobodies are confronted with this opportunity, they go, I know they're going to own everything about me, but I'm a nobody. So would I rather have 1% of $1 billion, or would I rather have 100% of $100,000? But the problem with that is they're so short term. They're so, they think that's the only way to grow. And then the only
quick way.
Right. It's a quick way, but it's not good for their future. And if they just kept their head down for 2 years and got a base following where you could be like, so somebody else who's associated with FaZe Clan is a guy named Nick Merckx. Okay.
Yeah.
And Nick's one of the biggest streamers, and he was on his own. And he when you're already one of the biggest talents, and then you join a sports team, then you can cut a good deal, right? So you get the best of both worlds. But they take these nobodies and they do it on purpose, right? Because they want to own them. Because as a business model, if you have such a devoted fan base, why would I go acquire the expensive talent when I could just make the talent? It's like the same concept in sports, right? Why would I go pay somebody a supermax contract when I can just have a first round draft pick and pay him fractions for the first 5 years of his contract? It's like NFL running backs. Running backs in the NFL, running backs have the lowest re-signing free agent bonus, because the first 5 years is when they're most valuable. There's no maturity.
They're going to slow down quite a bit after that 5 years. Physically, they're going to get worn out.
Right.
Injury prone.
Right. So they just run them to death for the first 5 years. And then when it's time to re-sign, why would you sign someone unless they're the exception and there's some, once in a generation running back? Why would you sign them when you could just hire a new rookie who does pretty much the same job? Right.
Yeah. Right. Very, very few. I mean, you've got like a Jerry Rice or something like that. You do have, like you said, once in a generation running backs.
Right.
And they're worth, Minnesota had Adrian Peterson. I think he was a wide receiver or whatever. But
he was a running back. And so Jerry Rice was a wide receiver. But
okay, I don't understand sports. So I'm going to say names. I'll say my man, Earl Campbell. By the way, I've met him. I got to ride on his lap in a golf cart when I was a little kid. Earl Campbell is like one of the nicest people I've ever met. He's wonderful, but he's a once in a generation running back as well. Like these, but outside of that, you just need someone who's fast, athletic, and can carry a ball.
Right.
There's a lot of people that qualify coming out of college every single year.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a math game, and these content creators, these content houses exploit that, and so it's so hard. But the good news is, the bright side is, if those few content creators were able to establish a base without some sort of backing, the world is theirs. My big, and I told you this story a little bit. I'm not going to say his name on the stream, but my biggest client and friend, he's truly a friend. He was one of the first guys who ever reached out to me for legal help. He's a content creator, probably 20 million followers across all platforms. So TikTok, YouTube,
so
Instagram.
Nobody got it.
Right. He's a big deal. 21, 22 years old, lives in Arizona, He's got a great head on his shoulders. He is so smart and just very smart, head on his shoulders, makes great decisions, business decisions, no manager. He probably makes $2 to $4 million a year, and he has been for the past 3 years. My girlfriend and I went to go visit him or go to the Grand Canyon, and we stayed at his house for 2 nights. He's got a $3 million house, all paid off his parents' mortgage. He picked up the airport in a brand new Porsche convertible, which he paid for in cash. I mean, just he is absolutely crushing it. And he doesn't have any backing. He's not part of any house. He's not part of anything. And he can command whatever deal he wants. Whatever deal he wants. And I mean, just some of the numbers for these contracts that I've helped negotiate with him is insane.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And he was only able to do that. And he's had plenty of opportunities along the way. I mean, he could have been an original person in the Hype House, which was like a big TikTok house a few years ago that made like the Charlie D'Amelios of the world, that kind of stuff. He could have been part of that. He could have been he said, no, I'm just going to do it myself. I'm just going to keep my head down. I'm going to keep going. And he reaps the rewards now, you know?
Yeah, that's the thing. The crazy thing about these gamer guys is right. Like Tfue, for a while anyway, was like one of the best Call of Duty or whatever players that there was. Like, these guys are amazingly good, and they do that thing. They look at it and they go, oh, well, but I could be huge, etc. You know, I could be this big creator. And it's like, you can, but you're going to cripple what the bigness actually gets you. And if you, like you said, if you just keep working, you keep being good, you go win a tournament, you know, a high profile tournament, and you're the unsigned guy who beats all the FaZe guys, like, you will grow. And even if you don't get to 10 million followers, but you get to 3 million, your 3 million is worth 10 times as much as the 10 million guy
all day, because you're not sharing the pie. And it's a concept that a lot of them don't understand, because it is such a
because they're 19.
Yeah, they're 19, they're short-sighted, and it's just such a new industry. It is such a new industry. I mean, it is amazing. Like, if I wanted to, I could start, you know, if I wanted to sell bullet whiskey or whatever, I could literally DM 100 of the most followed people on the internet, and I guarantee you, for $200,000 cumulative, I could get what would be on TV, probably $20 to $30 million worth of exposure.
Yeah.
And no issue. And it's so unbelievably cheap. It's not even funny. And the content creators are just not the smartest people, you know, and they get taken advantage of, which is fine. I mean, you know, again, it's all about the grift. And meanwhile, and the thing is, they don't even know they're getting grifted. They think they're the grifter. You know, they're like, oh, I'm getting paid $2,500 to promote whatever. This is a total grift. Meanwhile, you know, the company behind them would have paid them 15 grand, right? Or 20 grand or 100 grand, whatever. It's the ultimate grift when the other person thinks they're the grifter. It's just, it's absurd.
Well, and just to be clear on this, by the way, if FaZe Clan wants a FaZe law, you know, just talk to me. Don't talk to Tom.
Funny you say that. I told them about 2 years ago on TikTok, there was they were recruiting for FaZe.
Yeah.
So I told them, I made a video. I said, I want to be FaZe in-house counsel.
That would be a fun job.
Think about that. That'd be a fun job. I mean, you get all the perks of like, look, you know, what's wrong with having a lawyer who streams, right? It's like think of how much you'll save on legal fees. And also, I think there's something to be said in this new emerging market where, let's just say, shit hits the fan and you have a lawyer on staff. You know, lawyer makes the video basically refuting all their arguments. I think it'd be a fucking home run. Now,
could you imagine if you have FaZe Law, right? Who gets, because of the FaZe name and the hype around it, they have 5 million viewers.
Yeah.
And then you have a platform where they have access to all of the FaZe Clan guys. When one of these things comes up and you say, hey, you know what? Get on here. Let's call up Keemstar and get him on here because he's like good buddies with FaZe, with the FaZe group or whatever. It's like, Yeah, you get Keemstar drama alert, you get FaZe Law, plus you get whatever FaZe clan
Right.
person is involved in the scandal, and then suddenly you have 30 million people watching
Yeah.
and controlling the social narrative. Like it's
That's not even so. Screw FaZe. My plan is when Kim Kardashian becomes a lawyer, I'm going to offer her. I swear to God, I would do this in a second. I would offer her partnership in my law firm. I say, look, Kim, you don't need to do anything. Okay, I'll give you
just
50%.
Instagram, please.
Right. So now it's my law firm's called Kirker Kardashian or Kardashian Kirker, whatever it is. Kardashian Kirker Law Firm. I'll give you 50% ownership. I'll give you 49% ownership because I need to be able to call the shots because we're actually going to be doing lawyering.
You really don't want her making the decisions.
Right. I'm going to give you 49%. You're going to be a partner. We're going to kick ass. We're going to do great things. We're going to help a lot of people. You don't need to do anything. All you need to do is tweet about our law firm. Imagine we'd get every personal injury case in the country. Anytime somebody gets hurt, let me call Kim Kardashian's law firm. We would make, I promise you, somebody with Kim Kardashian's stature, however much money Kim Kardashian has made now would pale in comparison. People don't understand how much money is in the law business. And there's just, nobody's been able to.
Real. It's all about the law business. It's scalable. So what you need is an infrastructure to deliver cases. That is the hardest part of law is delivering cases. Because we have 2,000 cases, we can't take it. No, you just hire 100 more attorneys. That's it. Like it's always just 100 more attorneys. And if you have 2,000 cases, you can hire 100 attorneys to cover those cases.
Right.
Because you've got a massive amount coming in. With Kim Kardashian, it's like, yes, please just post more pictures of you browsing our firm's law library in a bikini and saying, felt cute today going to work or whatever. And
absolutely.
Like,
we would make, and we would be billionaires, or car wreck, call Kardashian Kirker Law Firm. And
you could be Kim Kardashian Car Wrecks, and you spell the car with a K. That'd be perfect. It's KKK Rex Law.
I don't know.
This is the best marketing plan I've ever heard.
Well, see, and look, here's the problem. And I can already see it. The chat's already saying I would never call Kim Kardashian for legal matters. You laugh.
Don't have to.
Yes, you laugh. But have you seen all the car? Look, I even have a hammer. I was streaming before this. This is my hammer of justice. Have you seen, like, I'm the hammer. I'm going to get you $1 bazillion. I'm going to, do this, that. Or everybody's got a cheesy personal injury lawyer in their town because cheesy works, because people remember it.
Texas Law Hawk. Have you seen that guy?
Oh, yeah, of course.
That guy's awesome.
Yeah. Texas Law Hawk. Everybody's got a cheesy personal injury lawyer because the deal with personal injury is it's not something you can network for. You might not be a client today, but you go and you get into a car wreck tomorrow and you get hurt and you don't remember, like, oh, who's that guy I met last year at the anime convention? Who's that guy I shook hands with? No, you just want somebody top of mind. So the cheesiness works. And, having Kim Kardashian as part of a law firm, most people don't know a lawyer personally, right? So they get hurt, they're going to call that number. I guarantee you we'd be billionaires. We'd be billionaires. It'd be great.
Jim Adler is the Texas Hammer based in Houston. Wait, was that the guy at Matsuri?
So I never found his booth. I was looking, but probably.
I found him later. And then I also, while in my Uber to the airport, I saw his sign. I was like, that's the guy. That's the guy whose booth was at Matsuri.
Yeah, he spends there's actually funny enough, it was a trademark lawsuit. There's a trademark lawsuit filed. He filed it against somebody who was infringing on his trademark last year, and he had to disclose how much he spent in advertising. It was either like $30 or $40 million a year in advertising. So, and they're no dummies, right? I mean, you're spending 30-40 million to revenue 250, 300, $400 million. I mean, it's serious. I mean, people don't understand how much money there is in law, right? And it's not.
Yeah.
And what gets a bad rap is the ow, my back hurts kind of stuff. There's no money in that, right? I mean, that's those they're like, people always like to bitch and like, oh, blah 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 blah. Like, there's no money in that. In Texas, the average
No.
insurance policy is $30,000, right? So you get a car accident case, ow, your back hurts. That case is not worth a lot. But what
Yeah.
people don't understand is the law for very, very select cases. It's got to be the perfect storm, and not to sound crass, but high damages, pockets to pay, and liability. Right?
An Amazon delivery truck runs over a bus full of school children. Like,
right.
it's awful, and that's what sells the case. It's hundreds of it's
right,
infinite money.
Right, and sadly, stuff like that happens all the time. And it only takes 1 or 2 or 5 a year, and you're making tens of millions of dollars. And and to be fair, without the lawyer, these people would get run over. I mean, the lawyers, and I obviously I'm biased, but
I can give some direct anecdotal experience on a small scale on this.
Yeah, well, yeah, do it.
So I was representing these people. Their house burned down. In Minnesota, there's a requirement that insurance policies have replacement value at current replacement cost. Except there's a subset of insurance companies that are municipal insurance companies. And these were started like 100 years ago, 150 years ago. And it's literally where farmers got together in rural areas and pooled their money to create a municipal insurance pool in case something happened to one of the farms. And so these things were regulated in 1919. Well, the rest of the insurance industry has had updated regulations through, like last year. They're getting constant updates, and they have very tight things. So if you go to Allstate or State Farm or Farmers or whatever, you're going to get an insurance policy on your home that has replacement cost for catastrophic loss. So right now, that's probably more than your house is actually worth at market because building costs are so high. So that's what you're going to get. These municipal insurance companies haven't been regulated since 1919. So they get replacement cost with depreciation. And so my client's house burned down. It's a 115-year-old house. So they have roughly $130,000, $140,000 replacement cost protection on the property, but they didn't know it was with depreciation. It's through a municipal insurance company. And so they got the offer letter for the replacement value of their house. It was $10,000. Whole house gone. It's ashes on the ground. And the insurance company says, we'll give you 10 grand.
Yep.
And so, they hired me. I ended up, we didn't go to trial on this. I literally screamed at the adjuster for 20 minutes straight, saying that I was going to absolutely destroy them when I bring a family into court and explain how they have paid every single premium for like 2 decades on time, and that they're going to give them 10 grand. I said, what do you think the juror is going to say? Every juror in that courtroom will be on my side and you guys will be Satan. And then the next day after that, I had a check for the full amount. Right. For my client. But the people, they're like, what do we do? We're going to get $10,000. This is a whole house. We can't replace anything. And it was crazy town. And I had their stupid law firm who happened to won the latest appeal, like the latest appeal of this. Cause I said, I'm going to take this thing to the Minnesota Supreme Court and I'm going to wreck you guys. And you guys are going to look stupid. And I cited a decision, and their law firm wrote me a letter. They're like, we're the firm who won that decision, by the way. And I was like, I sent back.
And you're right. Like, yeah.
I sent back. And that's why you know that I will kick your ass in court. And again, the next day I had a check for the full amount.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of people always ask me, how insurance companies or corporations or whatever value a case, and they work backwards. So the very first thing they're going to do is they're going to look at representation. Okay. And it's literally a scale. The lowest on the scale is self-represented. If you are self-represented, you could have $1 million case. It gets knocked down to quite literally $4,000.
Yeah.
right? And they'll say, "Hey, settle it. Sign this right now. We'll give you $2,000 cash. You'll be happy. Get some money in your pocket. Go help pay for your medical bills, whatever." Meanwhile, they're in the hospital and they have no idea what to do. Next thing they're going to do is they're going to look at, if you are represented, it's a sliding scale. So they're going to look at who is your lawyer, what their history is. They're going to pull up all the lawsuits you've ever filed, or you've been associated with, the kind of law you're in. So, for instance, I'm not gonna tell you. I got a great story about this, but I definitely can't say it out loud. A
Mind
Yeah,
send it to
right.
me.
So a family law attorney in Houston signed up a mega wrongful death case. It was all over national headlines. It was actually not even in Texas. Just a mega case that's probably worth 50-75 million dollars easy. I mean, it was just egregious. It was just it was disgusting how negligent, how absurd, how much suffering this individual had to go through and then eventually died. This family law attorney signed it up through like family friends. Whispers were in town, like, oh, this family law lawyer signed up this case. Who is she going to refer it to, right? Because oftentimes when lawyers who have no idea what they're doing sign up a case, they just send it to another lawyer and they work out some sort of deal, right? So everybody's happy.
Yep.
Well, nobody really found out who had the case or where it went. Came to find out she settled it for about $200,000. And
Oof.
it was like, obviously everything was confidential and none of that was ever made public, or that it was settled or whatever. But like inside the community, the people who knew her was talking, to the family law lawyer. I mean, it's just, that's what happens, right? So what happened was the corporation or their adjusters looked at this lawyer. They said, okay, this is a family law lawyer. She's never done a personal injury lawsuit in her life. So we're going to value the case at X, right? And try to get it settled. And so that's like the sliding scale, right? So it's, are you represented? If that answer is no, they're going to lowball you. Who are you represented by? Are they a serious threat? And then even if you're a personal injury lawyer, you might not be that specific type of personal injury lawyer, right? Like if I got, like for instance, if somebody came into my door and had some, like an aviation case, right? Like say they're on like a Boeing that exploded or whatever. I would say, look, I've never done if this was a maritime case or trucking case, I could, I know what I'm doing. But for this kind of case, I'm going to joint venture, right? I'm going to call the guy who I know is the leading expert on aviation lawyers. I'm going to let him take the lead. I'm going to learn from him, right? So that way, when the insurance company looks at who's handling the case, they value it, appropriately, and they work backwards. So, I mean, it's just more of the grift. Everything's a grift. It all comes back to a grift.
Well, that's the benefit of an insurance company, and the insurance law is this weird sort of area because if you meet lawyers who work for insurance companies, who contract, I should say, not in-house counsel, but they contract locally to handle the insurance case. The insurance company calls the lawyer and they say, here's your rate. Here's what you're going to do. And are you going to do this? And the lawyer doesn't say, well, yeah, I'll do it, but my rate, and they click and they call the next guy and they just do, because they know who they can call.
Yes.
They've done the research on this. They can afford, insurance is all based on actuarial science, and they apply that to every single aspect of the law. And so you have to know, that's the trick with these insurance companies, is knowing where you push their buttons. Can you make the case cost more than what they're willing to pay? If you can, then you can raise the money. If you can't, then you can't.
And so much of their values, so they're so stuck in their ways from their very first impression, right? So like, for instance, So the way it works is these insurance adjusters have to write reports, and everything's reported, and they set case values. Okay. So if your first impression to them is through self-representation or through a lawyer who doesn't know what they're doing, they're instantly gonna let's just say it's $1 million case, right?
Mm-hmm.
some Joe calls the insurance company themselves because they are deciding to represent themselves because they don't need a lawyer because they're so smart. But the very first thing that insurance adjuster is going to do is write an estimate on how much they think the case is worth, and they're going to write between 10 and 20 grand. So then they get a lawyer involved, but that report is already set in 10 to 20 grand. So if they settle for more than that, their report is going to reflect an error, or like it's going to ruin their numbers. So now your case can't be settled, and the only way to get real money is to go to trial, right? So much of it is, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of gamesmanship. There's a lot of bureaucracy because these insurance companies just really are. I mean, it's basically like the government. I mean, they're huge bureaucracies. And you can have adjusters who want to do the right thing, but their hands are tied, right? So it's like no matter what, or lawyers who want to do the right thing. I was at a mediation earlier this month, at the very beginning of this month, wrongful death case, nowhere near what we would settle for was being offered. Like not even close. Like they made it easy. I mean, the mediation lasted like a total of 2 hours, right? Because we're like, okay, we're not getting anywhere. And the lawyer, hinted, like, look, guys, it's not, my valuation is not what is being reflected in the values, because the insurance company is basically telling him to go fuck off, right? So it gives us, what choice do you have? So lot of lawyer BS. We can talk about something more fun,
Yeah. No, I think this is kind of interesting. I don't know, maybe. And then the last thing, because this all stemmed from me having 3 points about creators. So on the third one, I got offered, and this has happened several times, and it's even happened since this. There's a multi-channel network, BBTV, who reaches out to me from time to time. And not this time, but the last time they reached out, I said, okay, tell me your pitch. What are you going to do? And so they come in, they're like, we're going to take 20% of your revenue and we're going to arrange like advertising deals for you. We're going to give you a thumbnail and channel art course. We'll provide you with new channel art. They're like, some creators spend as much as $1,000 on channel art. And I'm like, you're going to take 20% of my channel's revenue?
Yeah.
That's
like
going to be,
they can't do math.
That's going to be, over time, especially, we're going to way outdo the value you're giving me on this stuff. And so I'm reading, and on the ad deals that they give you, they take 50%. So it's like, you're going to arrange ads for me, probably from manufacturers I don't really want.
Right.
And then you're going to take 50% of what I make on the ad. I don't know. But so I stopped. I got a copy of their contract though. We should sometime I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
Because it's beautiful. And it's like,
just a grift.
What is this? And I was like, you realize that I make like all of my money basically transactionally with my audience. I make ad revenue, but it is a significantly smaller portion. And they're like, oh, and I'm like, are you going to try and take 20% of my super chat money? And they're like, well, it's negotiable. Negotiable. Like you didn't do anything for that.
You didn't do
literally
anything.
That's me and my audience. That you're not helping me with that.
And there are people who legitimately will do that deal because they think it's adding value. And so they probably like, well, Nick, we'll also negotiate off of your behalf for these deals. It's like, bitch, I'm a lawyer.
Yeah,
I'm the one who should be negotiating. You're going to stick some intern who has no idea what they're doing, and you're going to give them like a copy and paste response to everything.
They're literally going to have a table that's going to have 0 to 50,000 subscribers, this number, 50 to 150,000 subscribers, this number, 150 to 500,000 subscribers, this number. And that's what they're going to do. And they're going to read a script. Like you said, it's going to be an entry-level account associate executive or something, and they're going to go off of a table to negotiate for me. And the company knows that person's reading off a table that's probably been long established in their range. And they say, okay, well, we'll go ahead and do that. And they go, yay, I won, right? And the company already had the plan. We're going to pay $200 a spot for this,
right?
Basically. And it's crazy. It's crazy. But yeah, so that's been my experience with these sort of with the creator side of it. And it's been a marvel to see. And I can't, esports is one of the most predatory contract places I've ever seen. They get these kids who have never made, and this is the trick. The trick with esports is they start following these guys and they're 16, 17 years old.
Yep.
When they turn 18, they can sign a contract. They approach them. These guys have never made a real dollar in their life. You know, they've worked at they're working at Best Buy for $8.50 an hour or whatever until they got their YouTube channel going. They've now started making a couple $1,000s a month, and it's the most money they've ever made. And this, they're like, we're going to bring you all the way up to $5,000 a month. And they're like, really? Yeah. That's amazing. It's awful. It's awful. Okay. Back to super chats. And then we've got your video.
Okay.
Because we have blown past 1,000.
We've blown past it.
Wizard. Wait, where? Oh, okay. Here we go. Wizard's first rule says, Nick, attorney Tom, kaboom. Thank you. Wolfgang Deo says, wait, how was I later than Nick? Nice surprise from Lady Raggets, by the way. I watched that and then I was like, oh, I have 5 minutes before the stream. So welcome to that. Let me get the next ones up. I'll read a couple more. And then, do you have your video like, so you could pull it up in a share screen thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I just assumed we could share my screen and then.
Yeah. Do you use StreamYard ever?
No.
Okay. So there's at the bottom of your screen, there's a button called share.
Okay.
And you bring your video up and you can either do the window or you can do a whole screen if you have one, but you have to click on, there's a box. It says share audio. You have to click that box.
Okay. I'll do it once you're done with the super chats.
Well, Keck7Go says, hello, Tom. Good morning to you. Do you have any funny stories despite the serious nature of your field? And have you ever practiced tree law? Nick, I love the painting and how it is free advertisement to Cosquay, the Finnish gin. You ever practice tree law down there in Texas?
Can't say I have.
Oh, okay. Tree law is actually it's a rare field of law, but the money's pretty big for what you do. In Minnesota, like let's say we're neighbors and I go cut down one of your trees.
Yep.
The damages on that is triple the replacement cost of that tree.
Oh yeah.
Which is a lot when you consider how much like a
trees are expensive,
80,
man.
And like it's a tree at that age. So when you figure out how much it costs to replace an 80-year-old oak tree, like they have to go dig up an 80-year-old oak tree, transport it and put it in the ground. It's an infinite amount. Like it's a lot of money.
Oh, totally. That humble brag, actually not even that humble. So I'm a big golfer. In January, I was lucky
What's
enough.
Your handicap?
So I played in college, actually. That's why I went to University of California, Santa Barbara. I went to go play golf. I ended up being cut by the golf team, both by first and second year. And then I just graduated. I got cut the second year because the golf coach saw I was so far ahead that I was going to graduate early. So he was like, what the fuck's the point?
Sure.
But I won the state championship when I was in high school. Went to go play college golf. I was incredibly inconsistent. I was always the guy, I could break par, I could shoot in the 60s. I could also shoot in the 80s. For competitive golf, that's not what you want. They'd rather take somebody who's going to shoot 72, 72, 72, 72. I was, 69, 84, 77, 70,
I'm so better at golf than you that it's embarrassing.
Yeah. And so
I shoot like in the 100s to 110s all the time. I am kicking ass. Like I'm outscoring you by like 30 points, even at your best games.
Yeah, I know you're killing me. But so anyway, back to my not so humble brag, and I love to talk about it because I'm a big golfer and this really excites me.
Yeah.
In January, I got to play Augusta National, where they play the Masters.
Nice.
Yes, I flew there. I stayed on property. It was very awesome. And the reason for that is because the member who I was playing with, they got to tell stories and they were talking to us and all that kind of good stuff. And one of their biggest expenses from like over the last 5 years was moving trees. And
Yeah.
he would point to me where they moved trees to make things different. They would literally point like, this is where the original tree was. And 3 feet over is where the tree is now. Like they would literally pay millions of dollars to move this big tree like 3 feet.
Yeah.
And it was pretty cool.
Okay, now I have a life goal, and it's to play golf with you for the sole purpose of how annoyed you would be waiting for me to hit again. Like, oh my God, he's got to swing again. That's what we need to do. That's what we need to do.
Next year at Anime Matsuri, I'll take you out golfing.
I'll have to play. I'm gonna find some way to have someone watch my kids for like the whole week, because there wasn't enough time. I was there. I was even there a day before and a day after. And so many people were like, hey, can we do dinner? Can we do a meal? Can we do this? Can we do that? And I'm like, kind of, except I can't leave downtown. I have to be around this thing. And so next year, I'm going to try and find like a significant amount of time for someone to watch my kids. And so I can spend a lot of time doing stuff.
Well, that'd be a lot of fun.
I'll bring clubs. I got some Callaways, and so I think I've got Callaway woods and ping irons. We'll nail it. It'll be great. I don't put them to any good use at all, but I have them.
Fantastic. Yeah, well, we'll do it. We'll go play. It'll be fun.
Okay, a couple more, and then let's do the video. Mars Ultor says, is he one of the pricks who screw over truckers in court when a four-wheeler does something stupid and causes an accident? Evil Tom.
Yeah, damn right.
Actually, though, you don't go after the truckers, right?
Right.
There's no money in going after a trucker.
Right. We don't go after the trucker. We go after their company and their insurance company.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you guys, you laugh. Listen, I've been lucky enough to give tens of millions of dollars to clients. I've not met a single client who would rather have the money than their health. I mean, like I said, I represent catastrophically injured people. I have people who have gotten millions and millions of dollars. If I gave them the choice, they would rip that check up in a second, set it on fire without second thought, and never look back. And I've seen some crazy shit. I've seen truckers who are basically falling asleep with dash cam footage of them falling asleep. I've seen people not paying attention. I've seen them rush. I've seen companies keep truckers on the road, and it's not even really the trucker's fault. You really can't get mad at them. And they're like, saying, hey,
driver, you're fired. And they're like, well, I can't. I'm at my limit. This is regulated. I can't drive for X amount of hours. And they're like, look, you got to make that delivery or we're going to hire another guy next time.
Right. Or, hey, you're on a crunch job. Yeah, exactly. Like, hey, I'm getting tired. I need to pull off the road. You can't pull off the road. This is a 24-hour, this is a 24-hour delivery. You only have time to stop for gas. If you stop, you're done. This is unacceptable. And it's just, I've seen guys texting. I've seen it's some scary stuff. I mean, and the problem with it and the stuff that's just infuriating and scary is a lot of the times it's people just like you and me. They're just in the wrong place at the wrong time. I could go get in my car, and then all of a sudden I'm in the wrong place at the wrong time, and boom, I'm gone or paralyzed or whatever. And so, yeah, I mean, I get the whole sentiment. The tort lobby pushes this whole narrative of these lawyers, they make insurance rates go up. It makes it impossible for these drivers to be insured. If you look at insurance premiums and you look at payouts, every year insurance premiums go up and up and up, and payouts go down and down and down. And they lobby the laws away. It's just like medical malpractice reform. So it's the same kind of deal. 2004, Texas legislator says, hey, listen, there are too many lawsuits against doctors, and it's costing them too much money to be insured, because that's what the insurance company's telling them. So we're going to put a $250,000 cap on all medical malpractice lawsuits in Texas. You can do the most egregious thing in the world, right? You could leave somebody miserable for the rest of their life. You could kill somebody. The max you're ever going to get is $250,000. Okay. And the whole narrative behind it, if you go look at the videotapes of the legislature, it's, this is going to affect insurance prices. This is going to affect insurance prices. It's going to be great for the doctors. Well, What do you think has happened between 2004 and 2021 to doctors' insurance premiums?
They went up the exact same or more.
Yes, they have skyrocketed. And payouts have decreased dramatically.
Yeah.
Because it's the perfect business when you can collect as much as you want in premiums, but you don't have to pay out anything. I had a friend in Houston, one of the best lawyers in the country, and he's only like 35, 36, one of the best trial lawyers in the country. He went to trial in a medical malpractice case. Horrific. It was basically a double homicide. Killed two parents, okay? Of this, and he represented the girl and her estate, okay?
Right. Yeah.
Before trial, and think about this logistically. If the max you can ever only recover is $250,000, why would you offer to settle for $250,000? You have no exposure. So he gets, before trial, they're offering her 200 grand. Okay.
Yeah.
So to settle these two death claims, he's like, oh, fuck you. I'm going to go to trial and get, what's fairly done. The jury comes back with like a $17 million verdict after they hear all the evidence. And people think like these numbers just magically appear. A jury of 12 people is who decides it. The Seventh Amendment, right? And so it's not like you can pull one over. These numbers just come out of nowhere. Somebody hears all the evidence and they make the determination based off the evidence. So they come back with a 17 point something million dollar verdict. And he argues, he's like, well, fuck it. I'm going to appeal it, right? Because they had an opportunity to settle this for $250,000. They should have just tendered policy limits. But, and I got 17 point something million dollar verdict. That should be the verdict because that's what the case is worth. And he got slapped down. So he got 250 grand for the family for this huge, crazy case that, it was basically murder. I don't really recall too much of the facts, but I remember hearing them and it was just disgusting, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what gets me, right, about like the whole, and not to generalize, but like conservatives, right? Republicans don't like tort, they love tort reform or whatever, but also at the same time, they're the ones who push deregulation. They go deregulation, deregulation, deregulation. Well, you regulate the things that you want to regulate, like, tort reform. That is literally a direct regulation. That is the Seventh Amendment, right, to trial by jury. That's the equivalent if I came in with the Second Amendment and I said, you can own guns, but you can only own 2 guns, right?
Yeah.
So you can sue for a lawsuit, and no matter what the jury of your peers say, given to you under the Seventh Amendment, but you can only recover a max of X, right? So
I used to be on the side of tort reform. And again, like, look, guys, I'm a small town lawyer. I'm not near any tort reform limits. I don't practice that way, primarily criminal defense. I am so far opposed to tort reform now. When you see the horrific level of injury that people go through and you actually consider like what goes into this stuff. Sure, there are frivolous lawsuits or whatever, but most of the ones the media reports on end up actually being really good lawsuits, but they get misunderstood by some idiot at CNN or CNBC or something. Like the most famous one, of course, is the McDonald's case, where the person spilled the coffee on their lap and they're like, why did they get all this money? It's like, well, first of all, their underlying award was cut down significantly. But second of all, there's no reason for McDonald's to deliver 198-degree coffee in a cup without the lid on it. And this person, the amount of damage that they sustained from that is actually off the charts. Like when you see that they basically became sterile from the damage that happened to their genitalia.
Right. And some more facts about that case, because I am a personal injury lawyer and I love this case. McDonald's had over 70 warnings of people who sustained serious injuries from their coffee over the previous 5 years. So that's not just like, ow, my tongue hurts. It's like have people who have burns, like 1st, 2nd, 3rd degree burns. 70.
Yeah, and you're talking scalding within a second. It's that hot.
Yeah, correct. Second, there was implications that the reason why they made it that hot is because they wanted people to wait for it to cool down so they didn't get refills. So they had to leave before they could get refills. Save them money. Third, the reason why the jury awarded like $2.2 million or $2.8 million or whatever it was, the initial, was because that is how much McDonald's made in hot coffee sales in one day.
Yeah.
So it was symbolism. It was for the jury saying, you're going to screw with her. We're going to take away 1 day of coffee sales for you. That's it. And I encourage people to look up the burns that this lady sustained. I mean, it's disgusting.
It's it's
Um,
it's like literal horror, like Clive Barker horror movie level injuries that you would never wish on anyone. Like the way it got portrayed in the media is like, oh, someone spilled hot coffee in their lap and their skin was red. It's like, no,
right,
these are deformity causing burns.
right.
To genitalia, like
Right.
it's off the charts.
And the problem with it, and the reason why they could run with it, is because she even admitted it was her fault she spilled the coffee, right? So
Yeah.
that's the initial fact that people need to get over, right? Like, oh, well, just don't spill the coffee. But it is foreseeable if you serve millions of cups of coffee that some of them are going to be spilled, right? And so
Yep.
you have a duty to protect the foreseeability of spilling coffee. I mean, we're not talking about, like these things that you can't get around. I mean, this is something that's preventable, right? So it's yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, again, it's all a grift, right? I mean, I get it. Like the insurance companies, the tort reform people, if you follow the money, they're all just paid by the insurance company because they want to maximize their profits, right? So just like how I want to advocate for not tort reform because I want to get higher verdicts for my clients, in turn, like that gets me more money, right? Because I'm selfish and, at least I can admit it. They want to do the same thing. But I hate
The
I hate
problem with
the way
insurance
they pitch it.
companies, yeah, the problem with insurance companies is they say, well, we need to do this to reduce premiums, and then they don't. I mean, that's the whole issue with Obamacare, right? Like, oh, well, and I remember this is a hearing. It was beautiful. It's like a town hall discussion with Obama on Obamacare. He's there. He's talking to a group of people, and these are power players. And then this lady stands up. She's like in her 30s. She's very pretty. I believe she was blonde, if I remember right. She is the lobbyist for the major insurance companies. And she says, if you can require every single person to participate in this by law, the insurance companies are in. And that's when the individual mandate became a part of Obamacare, because it wasn't originally a part of it. And that's when they solidified it. And the insurance companies were in on it because they said, we can't justify the expansion of insurance without you mandating every single person have to get insurance. Why did they do that? Because they wanted the cheddar. They knew that if you mandated insurance, that they could raise premiums a reasonable amount every year with impunity, because there's a statute, basically. I can't remember what statute it is, but there's a federal statute that says if insurance rates go up over a specific percentage year over year, they have to basically get approval from Congress to raise the rates. But
Right.
there's an amount of leeway, and miraculously insurance prices still went up year over year, the exact same amount that they could to the maximum. And it's a lot, right? It's like 19% or something like that.
Yeah,
And so insurance companies, if they can minimize cost and maximize revenue, what business doesn't want to do that? And so tort reform is beautiful for them.
yeah. What a scam. All right, are we gonna watch the infamous video?
Hit the share thing, and then I can bring it up. And then we'll have to be kind of quiet while it's on, because if we talk, what'll happen is we'll like cancel out the audio. So we'll have to be quiet while we watch.
Okay.
Is this what you want?
Yeah, okay. I'll go
We've got
to it.
Streamception.
Yeah, it's Streamception. I'll just go to it.
You said, are you? God damn it.
What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about. All right, let's enjoy this 1 minute and 48-second video.
6 seconds. You got to rewind it back to the beginning. You're at 6 seconds already.
Ooh.
What is this?
I don't know. We're just gonna play it. I don't know what's
Hit
going
that
on.
back 10 thing. See what that does.
It's doing nothing. It's a grift. All right, we're just gonna play it.
Okay. You didn't click share audio. You didn't click share audio.
I didn't share the audio. How do
It
you share
doesn't
the
seem
audio?
like it. Okay, first of all, cancel your screen share.
Hold on. How do I do that?
Just hit stop sharing. You bastard.
Okay.
Okay, now when you click on share and you share the screen, and you've got your entire screen thing, and you see the bottom, right at the bottom, it says share audio. Click that checkbox.
Okay. It does. Okay. It says share. Some screens let you share audio. Look for the share audio checkbox on the next window. Okay.
Yeah.
Share audio. There we go.
Okay. So I'm so pissed off. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead and hit play then.
Okay. Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Oh, so is it
Do you want to get in our thing as a fan? Okay. I'm filming.
Okay. What's your name?
Ivy.
Ivy?
Yes.
Ivy. So your sign says you'll step on people for free.
Yes.
That implies that people are willing to pay for it.
Some people are actually.
Okay. My girlfriend's right here. Rachel, can she step on me?
Yes.
Okay.
Do you want me to do anything specific? Stop on him. Stop on him. I'll hurt him. I'll hurt him for
This
you.
is such a cuck move.
This is embarrassing for you.
Stand on that.
No, I don't know. I don't know what.
I'm 95 pounds. I'm not that heavy.
Okay.
Go right on the chest. Here.
Yeah. We're good.
All right. There we go.
Look at all the people watching.
Got it. No, I'm not. Yeah.
What a great birthday present. There's my birthday, by the way.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, quick. You need to get a measuring tape to confirm whether you're 6'1" or not.
Yes. Okay. And what's your name?
Richard.
Richard.
All right, that's enough. Then we
Yeah.
go into we go into measuring, and it is confirmed that I'm 6'1". People on my stream like to call me short.
Okay, you got to hit stop sharing.
This one right here.
Yeah, that one right there.
Where?
Right where the nose is pointing.
Okay.
I could have shut that down. And I didn't. I didn't shut it down. What possessed you to get stepped on by a random chick?
She was just there, and it was fairly. I mean, first I struck up a conversation with her. I mean, that first conversation was like kind of a repeat. I went up to her. I was like, hey, what's the deal? Do you go to these things a lot and you step on people? And it turns out, yes. I mean, she does this fairly regularly. She tagged me in her Insta. She's got
talk about a grift.
Yeah, talk about a grift. I mean, she doesn't charge for it, so I mean, it's not that good
It's
of
a
a
bad
grift.
grift.
Right? It's a
No,
bad. Her name's
She's an amateur
Ivy.
grifter.
Actually, for anybody who's interested, she tagged me in an Instagram photo. She got a whole account on Instagram. It's called like "I'll Step on You" or something like that. She goes like a lot of places and she just steps on people. So I was legitimately just talking to her. I saw her stepping on somebody, so I walked up to her after she was done. I was like, "Tell me, I'm a people I'm just curious. I'm like, what what's the deal? What goes on?" And we were just talking, and I go, "Hold on, I just need to get this on camera. I'm gonna do it." And then I did it, and I don't regret it. I thought it was really funny. Actually, the funniest thing about this whole deal was that was supposed to. I made like kind of a mini vlog about Anime Matsuri, and that was supposed to be in it. And I sent a message to my editor specifically because I uploaded all the footage to Dropbox. And I said, make sure you put this one in there. It's hilarious. And then he misread it. He said, do not put it in there. So it wasn't in there. And then you were telling people that it happened because I told you it happened. Yeah. And so people started poking around. So then it became this big elusive thing like, where's the video? Where's the video? Where's the video? Where's the video? And so then it just kind of became like a grift about, where's how's Tom hiding this video? Even though I got nothing to hide, I have no problem making an idiot of myself. I do it, every day. So there it is.
So great. Oh, that's actually one of my favorite things about being on the internet is all of the things people like, they're like freak out about. So I did one of my favorite things I've ever done when I hit 10,000 Twitch followers. I did an e-thought stream. I got thigh-high socks. I got really short shorts. I got a Sailor Moon small t-shirt to wear. So it's like just sucked to my skin. And I sat on my couch and it was loaded up with stuffed animals and like Christmas lights. Yep. Right. And I did this stream and all I did was made fun of people for not giving me enough money. And it's like, it's one of the funniest to me. I don't know. Maybe I have a bad sense of humor. To me, it's one of the funniest things I've ever come up with. I'm like, I'll be these e-girls who just make fun of their simps for not giving them enough money. And so I did this and it's by far my most successful Twitch stream of all time.
Fantastic.
And then there are a bunch of people out there who are like, oh my God, what if his kids see? I'm like, my kids saw me in the costume and I'm borrowing their stuffed animals. Like, what do you think this is? Do you think that people on YouTube are embarrassed by like these things? It's like there's way more embarrassing stuff in my life than doing a joke. Absolutely.
And if because that sometimes gets brought up, because my day job is, fairly serious and you need to be taken seriously. And people sometimes, especially, and it's worse. It is worse when you first are starting, because if you make an ass of yourself when you have like 10 subscribers, then you just look like an asshole, right? But if it's kind of a double standard. If you have a lot of followers, then it's like, oh, well, it's just a bit, whatever. He's entertaining his audience. Nobody cares. People bring up like, hey, aren't you worried about coming off unprofessional or that might deter clients or whatever? I'm like, no, in fact, it does the exact opposite. I've gotten so many phone calls and so many like people who want to hang out. And I've had clients who met me through the law firm stuff. And then while representing them, they've found my content online and I get a phone call from them thinking like it's just a general checkup. And they're like, dude, I saw you on YouTube, or I saw you playing Call of Duty. We should play Call of Duty sometime. That shit's hilarious. People understand that you can have like not on screen personality because the internet's, been around for a while. They kind of get the gist, right?
Well, it's almost like people understand entertainment, right? So my wife, by the way, I've been derelict in my duty. Lady Rackets says, hey Tommy, how's it going? And she really enjoyed hanging out with you at Matsuri.
Yeah. So for anybody who gets the privilege of meeting Lady Rackets, she is objectively way cooler than Nick.
Oh yeah, and by a mile.
She is so nice and so welcoming and a ton of fun. And I mean, she's definitely, I left a message today in the day stream and it said Lady Rackets greater than normal Rackets or just Rackets.
Yeah.
And so tell her I said hi.
That's why she's not on YouTube, right? Like,
yeah.
That's why she doesn't have someone. One of my family members was like, they're like, oh, she's so great. Or no, it was a family friend. And like, she's so comfortable on camera. She should have her own show. And she's like, no. It's like, that's why, because she's objectively like the nicer, better person. And that's good. That's good. I like it that way.
Yeah. I mean, it does take some thick skin to be semi big on the internet. You get used to it after a while, but I remember when the worst for me was when you're at the 10, 20,000 follower phase, because when you're at that phase, you're kind of big enough where you want to start really taking it seriously, but you're small enough where you can read every comment and you take everything to heart. And a lot of mean stuff can be said about you by people, there's no consequence, right? They're just anonymous, like what we were talking about earlier. They're just anonymous people who can say whatever they want, even if they don't think it. They're just, they want to be mean just to be mean.
Or they say a joke, like for them, because there were some comments when I put up the stream today, that if I weren't me, right? And I didn't have like a bunch of lore and jokes already around, that I could have read those comments and gone, man, that's really, really rude. Like, but I have a feeling most of those people didn't mean them as rude. They were just jokes.
Right.
But like, you know, when you're talking about what you're saying, when you're reading literally every comment, you see everything that comes through at that 10, 20,000 range. And it is kind of tough, because it's like, oh man. And if you screw up at all, it's even tougher. Cause people come after you and they call you whatever.
Right.
It's like, but yeah.
Absolutely. And people say, you know, like, who cares though? Like, there's a comment in the chat, like, who cares? You say that and you try your best to ignore it, but there's no getting around it. You will care, and you do care, because, you know, people are talking about you, and it literally takes some time to get used to, and the numb. I mean, I don't know about you, Nick, but I probably only read, you know, because there's not enough time in the day. I mean, I probably only read 5% of the comments that get put on videos, you know.
What
I
I see is, so like, I'll go to my YouTube Studio app to see, okay, like, how are the videos today doing? What's going on? Are there any notifications that I like really need to address from YouTube? Is anything there? And so then what YouTube Studio does is it shows you the top three, the three most recent comments. And if you click on that, you know, it'll show you more, but you're really like, even when you do, like, I don't get a ton of views, but if you've got 2 to 3 videos out that do 10,000 views in a day, you're going to have 2,000 comments. And it's like, you can't keep up with it. So you
Right.
only get, I happen to look at my phone at this time and see these comments. So yeah, you only probably see 5%.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's just, there's just not enough time in the day, which is fine. I mean, you just kind of get used to it. But I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, it's tough. You know, like, there's some people who I think would be great content creators in my life. And, you know, I tell them, you know, you'd be a great content creator, but, you know, one bad comment could throw them off the deep end, you know, and it ruins their day. And it's like, if that's the case, then the internet's just not the place for you. You know, it's,
Yeah, you have to be, you have to have, I'm not making diagnoses here, but you have to have some level of narcissism. You have to probably have been burned enough in your life to not really care. And you really have to be able to focus on all of the good comments.
yeah.
And I was talking to, so as you know, especially because we went to Matsuri and you had dinner with us, right? Like, I covered the Vic Mignogna
Yep.
lawsuit.
We had dinner
And
with Vic.
yeah, it was nice, right? It was good times.
Oh yeah, it was
We
awesome.
We went to that Italian, well, it was Italian that week place.
Yeah, Mark's. We went, or that's what it used to be called. I don't know the new name, but yeah, it was
I
in
don't
the
remember what
church.
it was called.
Yeah,
but
but
it
it
was
was great.
good.
I had a good,
Yeah.
great meal. Yeah,
It's called a quarter, 1/4, right? Like,
or
something
fifth,
like
or
that.
something like that.
Fourth, or it was a
Yes,
fraction.
something like that.
So, but I covered the Vic Mignogna lawsuit. So in that time, I've talked to a lot of people who work in the anime dubbing industry in various roles, including some voice actors who, for many reasons, wish to remain anonymous. But one of them was talking to me one time over the phone. I remember I'm in Ty Beard's office, Vic's lawyer. I'm in Ty Beard's office, and I get a call from this voice actor. And they're talking to me about some stuff that's going on and stuff. And it was a nice chat. And they said how, you know, they had been getting some negative comments online, like very negative. And the thing you have to understand about anime voice actors in America is they don't get negativity until recently. Like, the anime community, and if you understand the anime community as coming out of the 90s and early 2000s, a bunch of people who have been bullied for their hobby their entire life, right? Like, this is it's not a slight to anime. I was one of those kids who watched anime quietly and no one ever talked about it before Toonami ever came on TV. They were bullied for their hobby, kind of like gamers used to be before Halo came out. And so when they get together at their conventions, it's actually an extremely supportive community.
Totally.
Everybody's positive. Like even me, I'm not out there making fun of the fat girls in cosplay. I'm not doing that because that's, like they're out there rocking their cosplay. They're doing their thing. They're enjoying their hobby. That's not what conventions are for. So, and I'm a notorious asshole. So, you've got these people who've been bullied and picked on their whole lives. So when the voice actors come into the US anime scene and they start showing up at these conventions, it is universally positive until recently with like the Me Too stuff and the cancel culture. Suddenly now you get some nasty stuff. So this person's calling me and they're like, how do you deal with the negative stuff people say about you? And he's like, because I've got some people saying some really awful stuff about me right now. And it's hard. And I said, man, listen, every one of those negative comments, there's 100 or 1,000 positive ones.
Yeah.
And that's where you get to when you get past that 10,000 subscriber mark.
And listen, if there's anything I've ever learned in just life or meeting people who are where I want to be in life, meeting the super successful people, whether it's content creation or anything else. If you're a super successful businessman, you've had you've had issues, you've had, rough patches, you've had, misalignments or whatever, and people will bash you, talk shit about your law firm or talk shit about, whatever, but it's winners focus on winning, losers focus on winners, right?
Yeah.
So the people who leave the mean comments, they're literally going out of their way to comment something that is not productive. I mean, there's something to be said for constructive criticism, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, legitimately just hateful comments.
I'm talking about law Twitter.
Right.
That's what I'm literally I will do this to my dying day because this is an embarrassing group of individuals. They're the exact people you were talking about at the beginning of the stream. They're the people who comment. They've never practiced. They don't know. And it becomes apparent pretty quickly. Like you have no idea the practical realities of practicing law. You can speak in legal theory all day. It's great. It's like you went to school and then you went to go do something else that has nothing to do with ever practicing, because these people, they'll talk about like why don't you just get an affidavit? It's like, because that's a hostile party who doesn't want to admit that they did something that could implicate them in a civil or criminal matter.
Right.
Like that's a tough, and what they do is they spend so much of their day on Twitter trying to dunk on lawyers who are practicing and representing clients. And it's like, what are you doing? Like,
right.
What are you out here doing?
Right. And meanwhile, you could either be creating constructive content or practicing law yourself. Right. I mean, not to be a jerk. I mean, I watch your videos, I watch other people's videos, but the majority of the content that I consume, or not even consume, for every 1 minute I'm watching content, I'm spending 10 minutes creating content. Right.
Yeah, me too.
Right. I mean, there's just not enough time in the day. Right. I mean, you can't watch everybody's video and create content. You kind of got to pick a horse. And, if those people they're just miserable, they have nothing better to do than just destroy. And if they were really serious about what they believed in, they would get in front of the camera, or they would get in front of take up a case that, is a cause that they are passionate for, and they would do the work themselves and then let losers criticize them. But they can't do that because they just like to sit on their ass and, not make anything. But that's fine because the economy doesn't reward them. They're mostly broke losers, Don't
talk about Mike Dunford that way. How dare you?
It's just, I don't know who that is, but I'll take your word for it. I'm gonna wake up.
You don't.
That's
the best part.
I'm gonna wake up to like a bunch of notifications on Twitter. I don't have my notifications turned on, but I'm gonna go to Twitter tomorrow morning. I'm gonna be blasted. I'm gonna go through, like, look at this guy, Attorney Tom. What a scrub.
No, but it's right that like when I call out law Twitter specifically, it's because this is what Twitter is for, and I do it too, right? Twitter is for the dunk. You have 140 or 280, whatever it is now. You have this many characters to make the absolute best gotcha joke that you can. And the facts around the joke don't matter. The nuance doesn't matter. There is no in-depth conversation on Twitter. You can try, but it's kind of like trying to gouge your eye out with a spoon and then eat it. It's pointless, and it only hurts you. So that's what Twitter is for. And so Law Twitter has created a culture of people who do this, and they sit around and they try and dunk on someone. And then the funniest thing about all those lawyers, and my favorite instance of this involves me, of course, because I'm a narcissist. I had Ron Coleman on the show the other day. Ron Coleman works with Harmeet Dillon. They're suing like the biggest names in the world. Like they're suing Google, they're suing CNN, they're suing all these huge people, right? They're doing like the real work. And Ron Coleman, I'm interviewing him on the show, and he points out that 2 years ago, I did a video reviewing one of his lawsuits where he represents Gavin McInnes. And my favorite line, someone sent me the clip that I said, a phone on autocorrect could write a better complaint. And here I am dunking on Ron Coleman. And this guy has sued everybody. He's written literal books on like 12b6 motions. Like this is a heavy hitter.
Right.
I'm just an asshole on the internet. But that's what it does. Like that's what Twitter is geared to, that to reward that sort of dunk. And these people do these little dopamine hits of dunking on practicing lawyers. And of course, Ron Coleman, he tells me, he's like, by the way, I watched that video when you did it, and I just went, I could engage this guy, but he's a dumbass. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And it's perfect. Like he nailed it.
So
right.
So let's talk about that on Twitter. So I'm kind of switching towards the content creator side of Twitter. Is there any, I mean, if you have a big Twitter following, is that even like, can you monetize that? Do people care? Like if you have 100,000 Twitter followers, I mean, surely.
So there are two ways I know of to monitor Twitter, to monetize Twitter. First, are you familiar with Brave rewards with the Brave browser?
No.
Okay. You got to do this first and foremost. This is the most important thing you'll ever do. Not really, but you should, because this is free. So you go to Brave. Brave is a browser created by like the guy who created Firefox, but then got fired. It's based off of Chrome. It does all the same things Chrome does, but it has ad block and stuff built in. So you go to Brave and you create a Brave account, and then you create a Brave Rewards creator account. And then you can link a couple things. You can link your YouTube videos. You can link your Twitter account. You can link your Twitch. And then the amount of time people spend watching those things or spend on those web pages, you actually generate revenue. Because Brave has a cryptocurrency called the basic attention token, and then they transfer that money to you every month. They translate it to US dollars and just give it to you. They just give you money, and it's free, and like you don't have to do anything. The only thing is, if you have Brave people who use the Brave browser who watch your stuff, they have ad block on, so you don't get ad revenue from them, but they tend to give money to Brave to distribute based on their content consumption. And that's it. And it's this cool system. And, I do it. I get anywhere between like $100 to $1,000 a month. It depends on the month, just because people who use Brave go and do this. That's one way to monetize Twitter. Twitter is a specific site that if people spend a lot of time reading your tweets, Brave works. YouTube as well. And that's where the trick is, by the way. That's where I get most of my Brave revenue comes from people watching live streams.
Gotcha.
But that being said, Twitter has also introduced Twitter Premium, which apparently, or they're introducing it, something like that. And it is a subscription-based Twitter service. So you can pay to see exclusive tweets from Twitter creators. I, for one, can't imagine ever paying a penny to Twitter to see tweets.
Right.
Because for every Twitter tweet, there's literally a trillion others that are as interesting. So no, but I know some people who are really, really hopeful that will become big for them. There's an attorney named Greg Doucette. He really hopes he could translate Twitter views into money, because you can't seem to make any.
So that guy, okay, how many Twitter followers does he have?
He has like 120,000. He got really big during the riots following George Floyd because he's ostensibly Republican. Although like he tried to run for Congress a long time ago and he got absolutely demolished. But so he's ostensibly Republican, but he was out covering the protests in sort of a pro-protest stance. So he gained a lot of followers. The problem with him is he tweets so much and his tweets are so unuseful that like the most interactions, he gets like 30 likes per tweet or whatever. He's very inefficient at tweeting effectively.
He's just a spammer.
Yeah, he tweet. And I mean, when he gets on a subject, he tweets an embarrassing amount of times per day to the point where someone was asking the other day, they're like, how do you tweet so much? He's like, well, I was in court, so I had a lot of time. It's like, so you're in court with your clients tweeting all day?
Sure, he's just on. Yeah, I mean,
like that doesn't
see to me that doesn't like again. Maybe this goes to the narcissist in me and you. Like if I'm going to spend that much time, and trust me, I mean, however much that guy spends on Twitter, I guarantee you I spend more than that making content, right? And so do you.
Of course you do, because
right.
you're monetizing it.
Right, exactly. So I mean, if you're going to spend that much time into something, why would you devote it to like a useless asset? I mean, it's kind of like me and TikTok, right? I mean, I spent a ton of time on TikTok. It was great. I developed a library of over 1,500 short videos, which then I just uploaded to YouTube, and it helped me gain, a fuck ton of views and followers from the YouTube Shorts thing when it was introduced in December or November, because I was one of the first people on there. I just had one of my assistants upload my entire TikTok portfolio to YouTube Shorts, right?
Right.
So, I mean, it was useful, but at the same time, about that same time when YouTube came out, I realized that, there's not really a clear path to monetize TikTok. Yeah, it's a cool party trick saying you got a little blue check mark on TikTok and, you have 500,000 followers or whatever. But why am I wasting my time doing this when it's not really beneficial? It's not really bringing in, a whole lot of business, and I'm not really generating a whole lot of revenue, where YouTube, even with a significantly less amount of following, I know I've gotten business from YouTube and I'm making money from YouTube. Why am I spending my time, on this shithole, right? And so if I was on Twitter, I don't know why these guys just keep going. And, if this guy really is hoping for some form of monetization, well, there's monetization out there. It's just not on Twitter. So
it's possible. In fact, it's feasible that he has at least gotten a client or two from Twitter. I would hope to God that somebody who followed him for the riot coverage, got into a legal issue in Durham, North Carolina, was like, okay, I need someone. I know of this guy. Maybe that has worked out for him. I don't know. That seems like the type of law he practices is not what you do, right? Like if you get a referral for a catastrophic personal injury case, that case could be worth $200,000 to you, right? Like it could be worth quite a bit of money. It could be worth more too, based on contingency and all that. A petty criminal defense case is probably going to be worth not much, like $1,500 to $5,000. And so I don't know if he's actually pulling clients off this. I have no idea. In theory, he can monetize that, but I think the problem he has is that when he's tried to do podcasts and stuff, he's just not entertaining. So they don't take off despite the Twitter thing. But that's Twitter versus Twitter in a way is a lot like TikTok, right? Like it's almost impossible to monetize this content in a real way because it's such a short, truncated thing. I mean, some people have made tons of money off of writing blogs, but almost nobody has made money off of microblogging.
Right.
Because it's got such a low investment for the reader and for the writer that they no one's like, oh, I'm spending 8 hours crafting the perfect tweet that's going to cut through everybody like a knife.
Right.
They just shit post enough that eventually one gets viral and it's great. So I don't know. I don't know what these people do. I know what you're saying is true for me, is that like, I always feel bad because I don't watch much of anybody's content at all because I just don't have time. Like there's just every minute is I'm spending 10 minutes researching topics, figuring out how to do video or recording the video. Like that's what I'm doing.
Right.
Right.
Exactly. I mean, it's just, it is what it is.
Okay, back to super chats here. God, I'm way behind. I gotta catch up because I know this is late for you. Nix Hex says, Attorney Tom, I see that your firm does dog bite law. Do you happen to know Kevin Landau?
I don't know who that is, so no.
That's good for you. Do you actually practice dog bite law? Have you done a dog bite case?
Yeah, so I've done one and I have one active one. And
it's got to be a bad one, right? If you're
hold on, let me see if I can find it.
This is intense. Because dog bite cases can they can run the gamut of like a $5,000 surgery for, some stitches and a doctor visit and a little bit of trauma to all the way up to a death. If like a pit bull gets a hold of a toddler or something, like they can be really bad.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm trying to find, I got to go back a couple years in my emails. Okay.
Speaking of, I need a truck to hit me so I can hire you to get some chiropractic care. Just minor injuries are all I want.
Yeah. Yeah, I got you. Just the minor injuries, where it's not too bad. All right, let me okay. I'm only showing you this because it's public.
Okay.
This is a news article. Hold on, let me find.
Are you going to share the screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect.
I'm completely lost.
My dog broke one of my teeth several years ago.
Oh yeah, I remember. I think I was on stream and you were talking about it.
Yeah, this one's fake.
I'm so confused. Oh, there's where. Okay, I was getting confused because the Streamlabs was the exact same tab. Okay, hold on. Share screen. Share. Okay. Is it sharing?
Okay, here we go.
I'm in Inception. All right, this is our case. Okay, that's
in Pearland, Texas.
Pearland. So this our lady. So I mean, I'm not even going to play the sound. So this is the Rottweiler. Our lady literally this lady right here had like 15 or 16 surgeries. Our lady right here had like multiple surgeries and is really messed up.
There's a blurred out person getting attacked by the dog.
Yes, and our lady literally she saves their life. I mean, look, she ends up pulling it. I don't know if there's any more footage that's publicly available, but literally
she
when
pulled the lady into the room there. Okay, there's some more. It looks like a repeat, but let's.
Yeah.
I didn't realize there was a person there at first. I thought she was just fending off the dog like from herself. But then I wasn't paying attention to the blurred out. Damn.
So
yeah, she gets her into the room, closes the door, gets the Rottweiler away.
What isn't seen is all the stop sharing. What isn't seen there is all the damages. I mean, Our Lady's really, really messed up. I mean, she's permanently. I mean, she had ligaments torn. She had huge gashes. She had to go into surgery. She's permanently disfigured. She's super, super, super messed up. And that dog, they knew. I mean, that dog was from California, and it was reported in California as a dangerous dog.
So how's the dog get into her house? Like what?
That wasn't her. So that was the person who's on the ground's house.
Okay, so how's the dog get into that person's house?
So I'm gonna stop. I apologize. It's an
Okay, if you
active
can't.
case.
Oh,
I
no,
just-
no. Okay. Yeah.
Everything else was in the article.
Gotcha.
But anyway, so the short answer is if damages are severe, I mean, I'll pretty much do any case just so long as it's catastrophic injury, right? So I'm just
Yeah.
not going to waste my time. My business model isn't cut out to do the smaller cases unless it's like a family friend or whatever.
I was under the impression that was the years old case you were talking about.
Well, no, I mean, it is years old. It's from 2019, but it's still active. That particular case is still active.
Yeah. Okay. So then definitely don't talk about it. The article is enough there. So that was crazy though. Like that's you get a Rottweiler. That's a big dog. They can do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
Obviously, as you're discussing in your case there. Okay. So next. Short story, Kevin Landau is a lawyer. He was the lawyer on the first case that I ever covered. He filed a complaint so bad I literally thought it was pro se until I found out it was him. The joke is he was a dog bite attorney. But what he's actually famous for is suing really high profile opponents on behalf of clients, running up a ton of legal bills on contingency, dropping his clients after coming as close as he can to committing malpractice, and then suing his clients for the money that he should have earned for the work done. He's an absolute pile of garbage. Like he's one of those lawyers that really makes people look bad. He sued a dead executive at one of the TV studios. Sued his estate on behalf of this guy who's allegedly the grandson of Mo from the Three Stooges.
Okay.
Because he alleged that the dead guy diddled the grandkid to create, like in exchange for creating a show that never materialized and all this stuff. The grandkid being an adult male at the time.
Right.
And he literally did the same thing. He ran the guy up. He failed to respond to motions. He did all this stuff, got to the point of almost committing malpractice. And then he says, irreconcilable differences with the client, withdraws from the case, sues the client for money. He's done this in at least 4 cases that I know of, probably a lot more.
Yeah.
He's awful. Fat Keck Boy says, rip Slipknot drummer Joey Jordison. Press F, please. Oh, did he die? What did he die from? Aren't there 3 Slipknot drummers? At least. Sucks here he died. Marty Lund says, Nick, how the heck did Hirohei find time to pass the bar, move to Texas? Also, where's this Tom guy we were promised? This seems like a bait and switch. Yeah, he does kind of look like Hirohei.
Who's Hirohei?
You should have met him at Matsuri, but he was too much of a chump to come. He used to be a streamer who covered the Ruby anime, RWBY. Like that was all he did. And then
we're getting a lot of F's in chat. I worry about
the F's are for the Slipknot drummer who died.
Oh, rip F.
And then now Hirohei does he has mastered the grift. He does all of his videos are like under 2 minutes long, and they cover some VTuber. We talked about VTubers earlier, and they all get like 300,000 views. And I'm like, you son of a bitch.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I need to start doing I need to look into this VTube stuff now.
Yeah, you should review some VTubers. I think that'd be great content for you.
Awesome.
Mr. Bentham says, so getting stepped on by an anime girl at a convention can be a write-off. Good to know. Yeah, it can if you're a content creator.
Absolutely.
In fact, the ones who do pay to be stepped on, technically you could write off the stepping on fee.
Right.
So if you find an expert stepper honor,
everybody, y'all here, let me look up her Instagram. I follow her now.
Oh god.
Everybody should she doesn't have that many followers. I think it'd be hilarious if
promote her on my show. That'll be great.
Yeah, we're gonna promote Step on You, girl. Her name's Ivy. Very nice.
I'm sure, guys, you got to follow Ivy on Instagram. You got to do it.
Got to do it.
Yeah, you pull that up while I read these other things. Stabby McStabwood says, pollution is bad, but humans only contribute like 0.03% of carbon in the atmosphere. We need more molten salt thorium power plants, not windmills. I'm good with nuclear. Let's put nuclear stuff, and let's put it by cities that we don't like, just in case. Cartman, like San Francisco. Just put a new plant right by San Francisco.
Dude, I was in San Francisco on Sunday, driving back into Napa. We had like 4 or 5 hours to kill before our flight. We drove through it. My girlfriend and I, we said this out loud while we were there. We said, we are not impressed. Like, this is not a place we'd go take a vacation. Like, we did, we drove around. It was cool. It was really crowded, terrible parking. Like, we went to the wharf, like the docks or whatever. We drove down like the slippery.
Oh, the turny road.
Right. I know that's like
road.
super cheesy stuff.
Yeah.
We actually had some pretty good food, but
everybody, that's the only thing that I've been to San Francisco very limited amount of times. I have family who live there. I have family who live in the surrounding area. And the only thing I like about the city is the food. There's some good food. But it's like, okay, but I can get good food other places the weather is bad.
Yeah.
The city layout is terrible.
In Southern California, if you're going to complain, if you say California, you live in California for the weather, you better be in Southern California because at least there it's a valid point.
Yeah. San Francisco, it's always rainy and mildly cold, like that miserable cold where it's like not so cold that you just bundle up.
Right.
But it's never warm enough. I hate it. I'm not a big fan.
So her Instagram. Oh, I can't. Is it gonna blur? It's gonna be blurry.
I thought you were gonna pull it up. I'll pull it up.
Okay.
What's her handle?
It's all step on you for free, but on you is a U, and 4 is a 4. So all step on you for free.
For free.
She's got like a pink avatar with her sign, her trademark.
Is it ILL step on you for free?
Yes, ILL step on you for free.
Are there hashtags or spaces or anything?
No, it's just one.
Why can't I find this? I'll step on. Is it you like the letter U? Oh, there it is. Shrimp Faye.
Yeah, that's her.
Okay, here we go. Let me.
I already blow up. Step on you, girl.
We got it. We got it.
Very nice.
Here we go. Share.
She goes around and she just steps on people. Like her whole Instagram is her stepping on people.
So here she is. This is her. It's I'll step on you for free. Shrimp Faye, public figure. Give her some follows. Her next con is Anime Houston. She has a link tree. I step on people at cons, so you can see her here just stepping on various people. I wonder if she has.
I'm in one of those. I'm in one of like the side scroll ones. She tagged me in them.
Oh yeah, because she has all of these are multiple pictures, right? Like look at all these. This is her.
She's got one. Like she's got one where she rides somebody in.
Here you go. She's stepping on people all over the place. She's got stepping on videos. I'm going to have to comb through these and see if I'm in the background somewhere of any of these. And then I'll sue her. I'll DMCA her. For using my
DMCA her. That's a good idea.
That seems like a good plan. So here she is stepping on all sorts of weirdos.
I would normally partake in making fun of them, but I was one of those weirdos, so I have no room to
talk.
I
say weirdos in the most loving way.
I know, in a lovable way, of course. I mean,
yeah. So
but I love the internet. I love how this is a thing. Like there's somebody out there and her sole side project, her side hustle is, or her hobby, I should say. Her hobby is literally going and stepping on people. And she probably gets a great kick out of it,
What's weirder to me is that there are people whose hobby is going and getting stepped on. Like I can never figure the internet out because of this.
It's great. Somebody made a comment in the chat says these guys are attorneys. Yes, we are. We're the highest class of attorneys.
Okay, so I have a bone to pick with the internet. If you think that we are the abnormal attorney, like attorneys are all these pristine, upstanding people, like you haven't met any of them. Like I used to get things and they're like, you drink and you're an attorney. I'm like, have you met us? Like, have you met any of them? These people put me to shame in the amount of liquor that they drink, because, you know, some attorneys prosecute child molestation cases or whatever. You handle people at some of the worst points in their lives. Either they've lost a loved one or they lost ambulatory autonomy. Like, that gets heavy. Attorneys drink all the time. Attorneys tell jokes. Attorneys do this. And they're like, oh my God, you're so unprofessional. It's like, no, you haven't met a single attorney in your life.
And all the attorneys who you hear the horror stories about, who go off the rails and abandon all their clients and cases, are the ones who don't have an outlet. You know, because the job is inherently really stressful. And if you work, and you know, everybody's guilty of it. I mean, obviously, if you have like a hot and heavy matter and it requires all of your attention for a week or two, that's just the way it is. But I mean, if you do that nonstop, you'll go crazy. There's just no way around it. I mean, you could be the greatest lawyer of all time. You don't take care of yourself. You don't have an outlet. You don't have fun. You don't have some form of, you know, creativity or expression. You're going to go crazy. And you can have a destructive habit like alcoholism, or you can do, you know, you can be not destructive and either drink for fun with friends or have, you know, like some other hobby. But I mean, there are people who really go down the rabbit hole because, you know, they just work themselves to death and they're stressed out all the time.
Yeah, and it's a big problem in the field, actually. Like, that's why they have organizations like Lawyers Helping Lawyers, and that's why attorneys can keep their licenses even after getting felony drug convictions and stuff like that, because they realize that this is a field, it's high pressure, it's high stakes, and you're dealing with people at the worst. No matter what type of law you practice, you're dealing with people typically in some of the worst situations they'll ever be in.
Yeah.
And so, and that takes a toll on guys. And so they, and gals, guys and ladies, they have to deal with that in some way. And some people choose very unhealthy outlets, but most, like, this whole notion that like attorneys are these soulless professional monsters, like, most of them are unfunny, but it's not like they're trying to be. Like, they're trying to be normal people. They're just not very good at it.
Right, exactly.
Cartman 54 says, my dream is to hear leftist states go full circle and banning all PC and smartphones. The internet will thank you and become less cancerous. Anana Moose says, great seeing Attorney Tom on the show. Love his YouTube stories. Had a question come up in a political philosophy class that I'd like his take on. Do people have a moral obligation to follow the law?
I would say no. I don't think it's a moral obligation to follow the law, because I think the law can be inherently immoral, right? And I think throughout history, there's been a lot of cases where the law was objectively wrong.
Well, like, for example, Jim Crow, people like glaze over. Jim Crow was the law. That was the law that was actually enforced. And the return of slaves after they had escaped by other states was the law. That was part of why the Civil War was fought. And so these are immoral laws that are on the books.
Right.
So,
sorry. I mean, I agree, but that doesn't mean you can't be lawless, right? I mean, there's no easy answer. There's no black and white answer. You have to pick and choose your battles. I mean, I'm not advocating for breaking every law just because you can, or purposely breaking laws because you're an anarchist or whatever, and you'll go out of your way to break laws. It's well, I mean, of course. But
there are times where attorneys do advocate specifically for a client to break a law so that they have standing to challenge the law, right? Like that's a thing that occurs when there's a perceived unjust law on the books, and they say, this person says, I'm willing to fight because I believe in this. And it's one of the few times where attorneys can be justified in advocating against a lawful act, or advocating for an unlawful act for their client. They say, this will allow us to bring this cause of action and go for it. And that happens from time to time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, even current day examples as they play, like, for instance, you know, personal opinion, and I don't even smoke, but weed, right? How is weed? There are people sitting in jail right now for weed. When
It's
in half
mind blowing.
in half the states, it's legal, recreational. I mean, I was in Las Vegas 2 weeks ago, and I got a tour of a huge like cannabis facility because I was meeting with a big cannabis lawyer, and that they took us to one of their clients' facilities. Totally legal, totally regulated, and there are people rotting in jail for way less than that. How is that moral?
Well,
There you can't justify
weed
that.
is illegal, but this is not.
And this
And
is way worse.
way worse.
And way worse for you. Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's just there's no way you can. There's nobody in the world who can convince me that that is moral in some way. Like, not only does weed need to be made legal yesterday, but they need to release every single person who is in prison for weed.
Yeah.
Like, retroactively. I don't care if it was illegal when they broke the law. I don't care. They need to they need to be released yesterday.
One of my viewers, Breck, who I believe is some sort of either a current LEO or maybe a former LEO, says third strike law. My uncle got life for a roach.
Yeah.
What happens if it is legalized? Hopefully, if it is legalized, he will be released. Because, I mean, look, there are violent offenses that accompany the marijuana game, right? Like, you can get people who, they stab people over a bad drug deal. That's a different story. But they're like ignoring those. Before we get to those questions, there are a bunch of people who are literally in jail, even for life, over a marijuana conviction. I remember watching an episode of Cops, and they busted into a house. They used infrared cameras from a helicopter, found a whole bunch of extra IR coming out from the basement. It was really hot because they had these big fluorescent lights. They were growing cannabis plants down in the basement. And the cop, they go in and they pull out this girl. She was probably 22, 23. And they're pulling out plants, and they're like, mandatory minimums, 5 years per plant. You're going to prison for like 45 years.
How is, speaking of unconstitutional or immoral, talk about morality.
Yeah.
Mandatory minimums. Just
terrible plan.
I mean, what the fuck was Bill Clinton thinking? I mean, come on, Bill. I mean, of all the things, I mean, that is just, I think he regrets it too. I think I remember seeing something where he acknowledged that mandatory minimums were just a terrible idea. But I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, it's so hard with how difficult Congress is to get any laws passed. It's not like if you realize that a law is bad and everybody realizes, it's not like you can just wave a wand and get it revoked.
No, it's absurdly difficult to get a law, because
even if everybody agrees,
right? Because then the opponent in the next election, at least this is how they think, will go, this guy's soft on crime, and tough on crime sells as a campaign strategy. Like, it's because everybody hears tough on crime and they think tough on the crimes that I don't like. That's what they all hear. Even people who are like for legalization go, oh, I want a guy who's tough on crime, because they think, I want the person who rapes me or mugs me, I want them to go to prison. But
right.
the irony, of course, is that the person with the weed conviction is going to prison for longer than the rapist.
Right.
And it's like, what are we doing here?
Yeah, it's disgusting. I mean, yeah. So back to that philosophical question. I mean, I think, no, you don't have a moral obligation to follow the law. I think you have a moral obligation to do what's right. And you just, you hope that 99.9% of the time the law matches with what's right. But that is not always the case.
We're shooting for that 99%.
Yeah.
Wolfgang Deo says, hey, Tom, any Vic news? Do you have any Vic news, Tom?
I don't have any Vic news. I can say I met Vic. I went to dinner with him and Nick. It was a great dinner. Vic is a very, very nice individual. To be honest with you, I didn't really know who he was before we had the dinner. And I embarrassingly asked him a whole lot about himself, just like I would any other person. Yeah. And I think he was a little taken back that I didn't, really know who he was, but I think he liked it. I'd seen Full Metal Alchemist. So when he told me he was Eldrick or Elric or however you say the
Wait,
name.
what's his first name? Can you say his first name?
Elric, Eldrick,
Elric is his last name.
Oh, I don't know his first name then.
Oh, okay. It's Edwin.
Edwin Elric. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, Edwin.
I remember Winry.
I'm being a dick. It's Edward. It's Edward.
Okay. Edward. Winry was a waifu for a little bit when I was like 8 years old. You know, I was like, oh, Winry, she's hot, man.
The joke is when I first started talking about it, I kept saying Edwin Elric, so that's why I put that on you. So
right on.
I'm sorry for passing my failing on to you. But
back to Vic.
Yeah, back to Vic.
He was very, very nice, very funny, very charismatic. I can see why a whole lot of people like him and why he's been a very successful voice actor. Post meeting Vic, I did some research. I watched your stuff on it. I educated myself a little bit about what was going on in his case. And on the legal front, I can confidently say I have no updates on that case. Nick would definitely be the person who would have way more insight than I do. But I can just say from my personal experience with meeting Vic, going to dinner with him, he's very, very nice. I did see him at Anime Matsuri, and he had some pants that concerned me, and I pointed it out to Nick.
They should be burned at the stake.
And the shirt. The shirt was like, it was like little tassels at the end of it. but
one of his shirts, I told him, I said, you look like you're wearing a shirt when Batman meets Salvador Dali. Like,
right.
What the hell are you wearing? Like, who dresses like this?
Yeah. So that was my impression of Vic. Overall, very nice guy.
Yeah, he's great. He's good stuff. And the funny thing was, when I started covering his case and stuff, I had no idea who he was. Like, none. People are telling me all this stuff, and I'm like, oh yeah, I know what that is. Like, oh, that's him. Cool, I guess. But anyway, all right. So, by the way, he says, by the way, ask Nick the question: balls or no balls on Futa? Also, what is on the shelf behind you?
Okay, so first balls or no balls, Nick?
Always balls.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't understand the context of that question, but
we're gonna ignore it.
Okay.
Because it's better that way.
Okay.
Life is better ignoring that question. What's on the shelf behind you there?
So this is my favorite quote. I have one frame in the office. And it is a quote that I try to live by. It is about the most important character trait anybody can ever have. It is persistence. I'll read the quote.
Okay.
Nothing in the world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than an unsuccessful man with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is filled with educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. The slogan "Press on" has solved and always will solve the problems of the human race. Calvin Coolidge.
My favorite president.
And so that's right there. I have my grandfather's flag right there. I have a silver plate button. And then, hold on. This is lore that nobody has ever known because they want to.
Ooh.
They want to. Oh, hold on. I got to zoom out. I don't know which way zooming out is.
Oh, wait. I can do this also. I can give us a wider angle here.
Okay. So this is a chicken. It's like a $500 painting. I used to hung in my office, but I thought it was funny. This is my tiny cock.
Oh, that's amazing. Thank you for that.
Well, there you go.
Beautiful. Calvin Coolidge is unironically my favorite president I think of all time. He such good answers to literally every question anyone ever asked him.
Yeah. I mean that quote's really important because I don't consider myself the smartest or the funniest or the best looking or anything like that. But damn it, I'm the most fucking determined. I mean, again, this may be to get to the narcissist thing, but I mean, I'm like, I don't care what people say. You know, I had so many haters telling like, oh, your law firm's going to go bust, you know, blah, 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 blah. You're going to be a loser. You know, I had teachers who didn't like me. You know, nobody's going to watch your stupid content or anything. But damn it, every single day, I might not advance the ball a lot, but every single day, you know, I don't care if it's the weekend, a holiday, I do at least one thing productive, and I never fucking stop. And I'm like a fucking locomotive, and I'm just gonna wear somebody down. And that's kind of how I live my life. I'm relentlessly mediocre, and I'm never gonna fucking stop. Relentless.
But that's what it is, right? It's not about how good you are. It's about whether or not you show up. Like that's half of success, is literally just be there, because you have to be there to catch the opportunities when they come.
Right.
My personal story on this. So when I met Lady Rackets, she was not interested in dating anybody at the time. She's just not into a relationship thing or whatever. And then, you know, like a little bit after that, we were married, which was great. A couple years later, we graduate from college. We move back to the Twin Cities. We join a church, and at the church is one of my high school French teachers, right? Happens to go to the same church. I had no idea. And so she meets Lady Rackets, and she's like, oh, my husband is so-and-so. And she's like, oh, really? I had him as a student. And she says, yeah, you know, when we first met, I wasn't really interested in dating anyone or anything like that. But, you know, he was around, he was persistent. And then eventually, you know, we got together, and the rest is history. And that's what she said. She says, if I know anything about Nick, is that when he found what he wanted, he wasn't going to stop until he got it. And it's whatever you do in your life, like legitimately, the most important thing is that you show up and you do it.
Right. I mean,
even when you fail.
Exactly. And there's so many people. I mean, I guarantee you get this all the time, because I get it all the time from people who want to be content creators. Oh, if I could just do this, or if I could just do that. Oh, I would do anything to be a content creator. You know, you have it so easy. Being a content creator is great. All right, great. Do it. You know, we all start with 0 subscribers. They just don't want to fail. They don't want to be embarrassed. You know, when you put out your first 10 videos and nobody watches them, it's
literally
embarrassing.
Nobody. Yeah.
And, you know, but it's not, it's embarrassing. You think it's embarrassing, but it's really not, because nobody really cares about anybody other than
no one was watching it to embarrass you in the first place.
Right. Right. Exactly. And so there's so many people who just justify and make excuses, you know, like, oh, I don't have a nice camera. I don't have a nice microphone. I don't have any of that. Well, dude, guess what? We all started with the basic webcam. You know, my basic webcams it's around here somewhere. I don't know where it is, but I mean, I literally started out with.
Mine's right there. It's a Logitech 920.
That's what I had, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I made. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you just do it. You just do it. You do it, and you fail, and then you learn from that failure, and your next video just slightly sucks less. And
I learned from the quartering. And people make fun of the quartering. That's fine. I like Jeremy. He and I have always had good conversations, good interactions. The man puts out like 6-7 videos a day, every single day. You want to know why he's got 1 million subscribers?
Right.
Because he is grinding his ass off every single day.
Right. And people, you know, I'm kind of the same way. I mean, I don't put 6-7 videos out a day, but in December, so I started YouTube at the very beginning of 2019, maybe even actually the very end of 2018. Okay.
Yeah.
And I put out 340 videos before I broke 10,000 subscribers. If 6 months ago, or not even 6, not 7 months ago, in December of 2020, I had under 10,000 subs on YouTube. You know, and deservedly so, because my content kind of fucking sucked. The only thing I was good at was short form content, which is why I was good on TikTok, because I got, you know, I'm good at like witty, kind of funny stuff. But, you know, that I put in, 340 shitty videos of grinding when nobody was watching, when there was no money involved. I wasn't making any money. I didn't even hit the 4,000 watch hours.
Yeah, you
because
weren't even monetized.
I wasn't
for a
even
long time.
monetized until January this year. So like I get, like, when people say, I'm making content and nobody's watching. I'm like, dude, I've been there. Like, do it for 2 more years. You've been doing it for a month. Do it for 23 more months. Then pick up the phone and call me, and then then I can empathize with you or whatever. And then you need to change something. But that shit.
Yeah. There are people who have been doing this for 10 years and have not been able to grow an audience. And it's like, look, if you're doing it as a hobby, great. If it's a career and after 10 years you're not being able to grow an audience, something needs to change. Like you're just not hitting success. So either you need to change your formula, you need to figure out why you're doing this or whatever.
Right.
But
I was about to say, and it's like, opportunity is like, or luck is when opportunity meets preparation, or preparation is when luck meets opportunity, whatever. My big break was the YouTube Shorts thing, right? Because YouTube Shorts had this program that was trying to compete with TikTok, and they were pushing YouTube Shorts like crazy, but nobody was creating YouTube Shorts, right? So I already had a 1,500 video prefab TikTok library. Yeah. This is addition to the 300 something videos that I made from YouTube. I had a 1,500 video library, and we dumped it on YouTube Shorts. And I have not posted a YouTube short in over 3 months, and I still get over 1 million views a day on them.
You did like 10 of those a day, right?
Yeah, because we already had them prefabbed. I didn't make them for YouTube. I just made them. They were just old TikToks, and my assistant every day would download 10 of them and upload them to YouTube Shorts, right? And that got me exposure. So people subscribed to my channel. And then because they subscribed to my channel, they then consumed my longer form content. But now and so then it, like, that was my big break, right? Like, I mean, it is luck, right? But at the same time, it's luck, but I took advantage of the opportunity.
It's luck plus volume. I mean, that's the weird thing. Like, and as a creator, you struggle with it because, like, I don't want to flood people's things, because that actually does make some people mad and annoyed when they get a whole bunch of notifications or whatever. But like, the reality is with YouTube, it's literally, you have to make a choice. You fire all of the shots and some of them land. Right. And that's with shorts, especially, that's what happens. And someone was asking, like, about the YouTube Shorts, how do you make money off of those? No. Not directly. They're not monetizable. They have announced $100 million fund for YouTube Shorts, but that fund is not open yet. And to date, nobody's made any money on it. So I don't think it's open. I think they want to do it, but in the grand scheme of things, it's exactly what TikTok did, by the way. Literally, like, shorts are literally TikTok on YouTube, and it's exactly what the TikTok Creator Fund is.
Right, exactly. And so in the grand scheme of things, with how many views there are, because the videos are so short, $100 million, I can promise you it's not going to be that lucrative, right?
No, you're talking so CPM, my CPM, that's clicks per thousand, or cost per 1,000 clicks,
right?
On a video is about, averages around $9 to $11, $9 to $12, depending on the type of video and the subject matter. And then you tend to get about half of that. So for every 1,000 views I get on a video, I make between $5 and $6, basically. Right. And so that's how that monetization works. The CPM on a YouTube short with $100 million fund, based on how YouTube Shorts works, it's going to be like literally less than $1 CPM.
Right.
So you're going to be talking about, you're going to get 50 cents per 1,000 views on shorts.
Right.
Basically.
And it's been exactly. But it's been a great overall. I wouldn't change anything for the world, because what happened was I got all these followers, and then they slowly started consuming my long content, and I just I continued to make a lot of it. So like originally, I was getting 10,000 5,000 views for long form content, which before I was getting 500. Right. So now I'm getting 5,000 views, and I'm thinking that's a lot. But the problem is I have 100,000 subscribers, and people are saying, "Oh, you only get 5,000 views and you have 100,000 subscribers," which makes sense because a lot of the people, like I said, they just watch my shorts. They don't want to consume my long content, and my long content kind of sucks, to be honest, or it did.
Sure. Yeah.
So then I said, okay, screw this. I have to make a determination right now. I'm not going to create any more shorts because I uploaded my entire TikTok portfolio. That was it. And I have no more content left to put up there. And I need to convert people to something that pays money. So now for the past 5 months, I've only really done, I've uploaded shorts, but for the past 5 months, I've only created long form content. And I have 2 editors now. My content's gotten so much better. And now my average views, I've fought my way back to it. I have 380,000 views. My last 4 videos have over like 50K, right? And I just released a video today. I just checked before the stream started. In like 2 hours, it got over 10,000 views, which is a ton for me. That's
you're kicking ass.
So I mean,
I checked. I was like, I need to know how jealous I need to be of Tom.
Yeah. Well, it's hard. It's hard. It's hard being a TikToker. Hard being.
No, but like the reality is like, so in for my December, like Linkin Park, right? This is my December before I kill myself. That's I'm sitting there and I'm like, in December, every video I'm putting out in December and January is hitting 100,000 views because of the election. It's amazing. Like everything I do. And then January 21st rolls around, inauguration happens, and YouTube cuts off the spigot on anything related to politics. And suddenly everything drops to like 10 to 15,000 views.
Right.
All of it immediately. And so now I'm like trying to find ways to break, like, can I break 15,000 views on any given content? And it's tough. So I go and I look at your content. And I'm like, this motherfucker is out here getting 50,000 views, 60,000 views on these things. He's reviewing TikTok. What is this guy doing? And I'm like, he's smart. That's all I can determine. He's smart.
Well, listen, there's a huge, and we all have our different content styles. Like generally, I'm not really like a political guy. I mean, I know we've. Yeah,
I think I need to probably get away from the political stuff and find what's funnier that people want to look at.
Right. I mean, this is probably the most political I've gotten, and I hope I haven't like pigeonholed myself like one way or the other. I am pretty open to discussing ideas, anything, but I'm just not really interested in that. It doesn't entertain me. I don't care about what the people in Washington or what they're doing daily. That's just not my form of entertainment or excitement. Right. I have a very stressful job, and when I'm off work, I just want to talk about fun stuff and do fun things and be a goofball. Right. And that's kind of my outlet. And I think there's a big gap in the market because so many of the lawyers, and we know them, so many of the lawyers on the internet, they like to talk about the law, and they're great people and they like to talk about the law, but the law is boring. You got to make it fun.
They're really good at it. They're really good at talking about the law. Right.
Which is almost a crutch because they want to keep talking about the law. Right. And not do the fun or interesting stuff. And I'm going to say his name, and I'm sorry for saying it on your stream, but I think Legal Eagle had this market, the market that maybe I'm trying to get into, cornered, but then he got very political, and I think it turned off a lot of people.
Sucks. He's awful.
But he rose to fame, just doing fun educational stuff, right? And I think there's a need,
and also having really good editing.
Right, he's got great editing, but then I can't tell you how many comments that I've gotten on my videos saying, Tom, I like you way more than him because it got political, and it just is what it is. I mean, it's his content. He's making a killing. Great for him, and I have nothing to bash him. I
think he took a hit on it though.
Like, I think so?
Yeah, because when you look at like Legal Eagle's views, they were growing, they were consistent, they were big. His shorts were, first of all, the man's got terrific editors for his short videos.
Yeah.
Like his short videos are amazingly well done for being literal zero revenue generators. Like they're great. I can't disrespect the game, right? But I think he was on the rise, and then now I look at his content and I'm like, he got a lot of people involved, but I really don't think he nailed it. Like I think he may have cashed in. Let me pull it up. Maybe I'm wrong on this, but
so anyway, that's kind of, like I want to do, if I talk about the law, I want to do it in a fun way and like, review like real life scenarios or like fun, outrageous things, with the occasional serious law topic, but in a non-political way. I mean, I literally just want to keep it to the facts. I want to keep it fun. I want to keep it lighthearted. I want to keep people entertained on one half of my content, and then the other half of the content is just pure educational. Like I want to teach people how to do boring stuff that they don't teach you in school, like what, how to get a mortgage. I did a whole series about real estate that was really boring, but every day those views still occur, right? So and I don't want to because I'm not a political person, I don't want to polarize one side of my audience, and so that's kind of my niche. I'm just trying to have fun.
So his shorts do, on average pretty well. And then sometimes really well. Like this one, Dua Lipa sued for posting photo of herself, 1.9 million views. That's a short though. These don't make any money. They bring in a ton of eyes. His videos lately, like this is good. This one's great. Diving deep into Trump Weisselberg. Britney's fights for her conservatorship. Lawsuits that actually weren't ridiculous. He's got the coffee one right here, 1.4 million views. This is great. I'm sorry. I wonder what this is. I have no idea. Real lawyer reacts to Better Call Saul. He's going back to his roots. 800,000 man tips winning. Notice what he's not doing in these.
Oh, by the way,
videos.
the I'm sorry video is a grift. It's a fake apology to promote his Better Call Saul video. So,
oh God. Well, he should catch fire then.
Right, and he's got an ad in front of it. I mean, he's making it. I mean, all of his videos, to his credit, they're very well done. They get a lot of views,
and they all make $10,000.
Right,
like every one of the 800,000 views, 1.2 million views. This made $10,000 to $15,000 to put out. It's right. Well, this is a short. Actually, this is
no, it's not. It is not a short. I can.
Oh, that's a monetized video.
Yes, it is.
Oh, yeah, because it's in landscape. So yeah,
it's
this
ultimate.
This thing made.
That was the ultimate grift video. I applaud him for it. This video makes 10 grand. Yeah.
At for less than a minute of content. But okay, notice though, I'm going to say this. So 1.4 million, 1.2 million, 810,000, great, 900,000. Trump video, 618,000. Or 681. That's half the views of some of these other ones that he's doing. I don't think his King of Tucker Carl. Well, this one got 1 million, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong on this. Probably.
Yeah, I listen. Here's my deal. I
hate Devin's content, by the way. God, it makes me want to vomit.
See, I don't feel as strongly as you do. I actually, I watch his stuff, and he's definitely he's definitely got the whole team, the whole spiel together, and he's definitely the leader of our niche, right? I mean, right, wrong, or indifferent, he's got the most followers.
Oh yeah, he's the most popular, and look, I'm going to say this very, very specifically, and I know this to be true. Devin is a favored content creator on YouTube.
Totally. He
has a partner manager. They love him. And my partner manager talks like wonderfully about him and how great he is at doing stuff.
I'm sure. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not trying to get away from like Devin as a person. I'm back to the conversation about like content creation, like selfishly, like my grift, right? Like trying to find a niche. So my niche is, one, I'm trying to do fun stuff like what Legal Eagle did or does, but before he got political. So two, I'm trying to stay not political so I don't isolate anybody. So that hopefully my ceiling is higher, because there are people who just straight up won't follow Legal because he's political now. And 3, I'm not as clean cut, fine tuned as Legal. I like to cuss. I like to wear birds aren't real t-shirts. I never dress up because I hate suits. I'm Legal does a great job with present. Like, if you show his videos, the first thing you're going to look at him and go, wow, he looks like a lawyer, right?
Exactly why I hate his content.
Right. You watch my content and you go, this guy's not a fucking lawyer. He's a clown. But then, hopefully if you watch a couple of them, you get into the lore or the community and you're like, okay, this is, I'm just trying to be myself. I'm not saying Devin's not himself, but I don't want to portray myself.
Not. Come on. He's not. He's produced. It's well done. His law firm is the smartest thing on the planet, because what they did was they recognized whatever Devin did in the courtroom stopped mattering the second he blew up on YouTube. And they said, he is Kim Kardashian, right? Like, that's what he did. They're like, we'll put on you get the nicest suits. You get a beautiful backdrop of fake law books or whatever that no one's ever read. We'll pay $50,000 for a law library for you. You've got editors to do this stuff, and to be very clear, I am praising the editing on Legal Eagle's channel. It is phenomenally good. His videos, that's the one thing I can say. They are they're some of the most well-produced content you can imagine.
Right. And they're beautiful. They're beautifully produced videos.
And exactly what you were saying about Kim Kardashian earlier, I guarantee you Devin brings a ton of business to that law firm through his YouTube channel. He does. And so I'm sure they said, you know what, like, we don't care if you never litigate a case again. You have nailed it. You're a handsome guy. You dress well in a suit. You sit down, you've got a great talking cadence, and you can somehow enrapture these people. And he hit a formula and he does it really well. I think his biggest mistake was getting political, because I think if he would have never done that, I don't think he would be locked at up 1.75 million subscribers. I think he'd be at 4 to 5 million subscribers.
Right. I mean, I think the gold standard for professional content creators is Dr. Mike. You know Dr. Mike?
Yeah, he's I know of him. I don't watch.
I mean, his
stuff.
deal. I mean, he's kind of the same as Legal. Eagle's got beautifully produced stuff. Yep. He's a very, very good looking guy. I mean, just objectively, that I'm sure that helps. But he's got 8-10 million subscribers, and he's done collabs with Legal Eagle. But I mean, he kind of stays pretty fact based. And been consistent and consistently produces high quality content. I mean, obviously it's a little cheesy, but I mean, you got to play the game. I mean, I do not.
YouTube loves cheesy.
Right. I do not get on him for that at all. But, he's just crushing it. I mean, there's just, he's just at that next level. So hopefully one day.
So someone says, Dr. Mike is such a milquetoast though. Yes. Legal Eagle is such a milquetoast too. We're not talking about the overall quality of what they're putting out or the veracity of it or anything like that. It's just the fact that they play YouTube very, very well.
It's all game. I mean, I know TikTokers who have, like I said, 10, 15 million. They hate what they do. If you met them in person and they were behind closed doors and you didn't know who they were, they'd be normal people. They'd be swearing. They'd be cussing. They'd be talking to, just bullshitting with you, shooting the shit. And they put on a facade because they know it works and because there's a lot of money at stake. And all these guys, I do it to an extent too. I mean, what you say on camera versus how you say in real life, I try to get as close to my authentic self as possible. And Nick is very much his authentic self, or at least if he's not, he portrays it fantastically. Right.
I'm like the same person no matter where you find me. I'm gonna laugh with you. I'm gonna drink with you. And look, if you're fat plus awful, I'll make fun of you. But if you're not either one of those, I won't.
Right. Yeah. And that's just, there's just differences in content style, and a lot of people just play the game, and there's nothing wrong with playing the game because objectively it works for them. And back to our favorite word. It's just their grift. I mean, they
And
know
they're very
that,
good.
right? They play the game, even though they might despise their content. And I bet you a lot of the big players hate their content. They don't even, they're not proud of what they're putting out, but it's the grift.
Well, look, here's the reality. I had a couple ways to go. I had very, very close friends who went the election is a full-on fraud route, which was fine. Like that's fine for them to do. And they gained a ton of subscribers. I'm talking my buddy Doug went from 18,000 to 450,000 subscribers in like a month. And going off of like the election stuff and really hitting that stuff hard. And I hit it mildly hard during the election. And it was good to me, but I would never go like full in. And I passed up in some ways some opportunities there. Also, all of those guys who did that have been fully canceled off of YouTube now.
Right.
And they don't even have channels. So for me, I decided to play the long game. I've looked at Devin's content, legal, and I've said, I can put on a suit. I can sit in front of law books rather than a painting of whiskey or a bunch of anime figures or whatever. I could do that. And I could review like My Cousin Vinny. I could review The Rainmaker. I could do those things and I could talk about all the differences. I can't do that though. Like I would hate it.
Right.
And I've been presented with those things several times. Do I do this and hate what I do, or do I do what I like and try to build my own thing? And that's what I chose. And that's clearly what you chose too.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
like you could sit in a suit and you could review every personal injury. So like you could go going through the potential personal injury claims in Terminator 2.
Right.
Like, do we hold Cyberdyne Systems liable for,
that's
for
actually
Terminator
a good video.
coming back? That's a great video.
I might do that. That's a great video. But I'm not
can
gonna
you
do
hold
it
Cyberdyne liable for its robot coming back in time?
Yes. The important thing is I'm not going to do it in a suit. I'm going to potentially cuss.
You're wearing eye patch.
Well, yeah. When I first started, I tried, and it's hard to find your own voice and style when you're first starting. But when I first started, I was in a suit. I was trying, doing more legal, stuff, try hardy stuff, and then it's just not you, and it reflects on camera, I've really started to find my own groove in what the content that I like making, and when you like making the content, hopefully it reflects with the community that you build, right? And it's not a fake community. And that's what I worry about. I want people who meet me in real life to already know a little bit about me, right? And like be able to bullshit with me and talk with me. And I worry that a lot of those bigger creators that have the fake persona, like I don't know what Devin's hobbies are, like I don't know. Like I couldn't, if I met him in person, I would be from square one. I wouldn't know what to talk to him about or anything, whatever. I mean, it just is what it is. I mean, it's just a different, it's just a difference in style. Exactly.
Okay, we talked about that for a long time. Next we've got Pastor Flash says, great to see Attorney Tom here. Now the important question, Nick, Tom, should a Fuda have balls or no balls? I said balls. You don't have to really deal with that. We don't need to go into that question. That question is although I think what the question is because you hang around here from time to time. Ryoji Mata says, holy crap, Attorney Tom, we look like doppelgangers of each other and we both live in Texas. Lol.
Nice.
Twilight Dragon 3 says, someone in the chat said that Attorney Tom looks like Hero Hey. I can't unsee it now. Love the painting, Nick. Super Iron Bob says, Attorney Tom can bite me on the need for faces.
I'm not sure what that means, but okay.
Oh, I think the anonymity thing that we were talking about earlier. So Uriah Wright says, destroy this man by introducing to HoloLive, Nick. I did. Faulty, he's got the VTuber bug now. He's gonna like 2 days from now, it's gonna be like, what's a VTuber?
I'm gonna make a VTuber show, guaranteed. Or at least one episode. I mean, if you said like I can just download a software and make one video about it, I'm gonna do it.
Someone sent me a VTuber avatar, and I'm thinking of printing it out and burning it at the stake on a short. Like, oh, this is my VTuber avatar, and then just have that Requiem, choral song about like
Right.
that one. Faulty Pillar says the fact that boob mouse pads exist means weebs will buy anything. That's true. Gnome John says the original VTuber, Kazuna I, got multiple VAs/replacements and it generated a lot of hate. They closed down a channel basically if a talent leaves or is fired.
Interesting.
Skoda Big Johnson says, how did you get Sun from Breaking Bad on? Keg7Go says, Tom, one of the first breakthrough VTubers called Kazuna AI, got their original actress laid off and replaced, which caused a huge uproar. People are very attached to the person behind the VTuber.
Interesting.
So there you go. They love their voice actor.
I
right?
wonder if there's a non-compete. Like if that girl got canned, it might be the best thing for her, right? So she gets canned and then she just creates her own VTube. And then, within a day, it's got 1 million subscribers. She's set.
Maybe.
Probably the best case scenario.
I think there is a non-compete though.
Yeah.
I mean, I think HoloLive, which I'm pretty sure is a China operation, they know what they're doing. They know what they're doing, and they own everything about it. And I think there would be if they tried to violate that non-compete. That's a weird thing, by the way. Non-competes are this neat little legal fiction where we're like, oh, okay, you can't compete in a reasonable distance and a reasonable time. But when your business is the internet and it's global, like what is the reasonable distance and reasonable time?
Yeah, that's pretty gnarly.
Yeah, it's okay. Let's see. Noir777 says, Rackets, I would love to see you talk to Destiny. Destiny's a stripping name. Ryan Acorn says, since you brought up FaZe Clan, Nick, do you have Tom have legal input on the massive crypto scam a bunch of them are involved in? CoffeeZilla is doing a great breakdown. I have not looked into it at all.
So I made a video about this. I've been looking into it. I mean, I definitely think that there are a lot of causes of action. I only covered one. It was actually about securities law. But I mean, I definitely think basically these influencers promoted a pump and dump. I definitely think it's, some form of deceptive trade practice or deceptive actions. It's fraud. It's, a whole bunch of a number of things, but there's also in securities law, it's like section 11, like section, I already forget, but there's some code
No
of
one cares
securities
what the
law.
section is.
Yeah, it's like section 11A2. Okay. And
All
it
right.
says that it creates a statutory seller. And basically, if you are selling a security at its inception, so not on the secondary market, but basically at its IPO or equivalent, you can be jointly and severally liable for what you promote if it's misleading.
Ooh.
And what happened to this is the rapper The Game, he got popped with a $12 million judgment against him because in 2017, he promoted an ICO, an initial coin offering for some cannabis coin that hey, you buy this coin, you own like a fraction of this like weed plant or like weed cannabis farm or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And so it was a huge fraud, pump and dump. He got sued. They said that the ICO was a security because people were basically buying this coin, which was supposed to represent, like some asset, right? So now it's a security.
Mm-hmm.
And so he is a statutory seller. So he's jointly and severally liable for this pump and dump, which did $12 million in damage. And of the 15 other people on the lawsuit, they're all like anonymous developers or whatever. So they're either not in the country or they can't find out who they are. So then you have this one person who is a rich celebrity who is now jointly and severally liable for the entire thing. And he's going to get, so that was kind of the gist of it. So, what I foresee with a lot of these big influencers, right? Here's the scam. Here's the grift. They get paid to promote a coin that they know nothing about. And then it's a big scam. Everybody loses their money. They go, I didn't know it was a scam. I was just paid to promote the coin. I didn't know this. I wasn't part of the dev team. I didn't have any back end influence, which might be true. Okay. But
Right.
You're the one, but and also like I don't know who the developers are, and then that's the next question. Well, can we go after the developers? Oh, nobody knows who they are. They're all based through WhatsApp or Telegram or Discord, and they've disappeared. Right. So now nobody knows who they are. There's nobody left to take responsibility. And so
then they're like, well, you're jointly and severally liable. You have a cause of action to bring them in. And he goes, but I have no idea who they are either. They contacted me via email. They sent me some money by PayPal. I don't know who they are. Right. Like,
so if you're able to establish that the initial coin was a security, which, is there have been probably a dozen or so lawsuits that have established this, then everybody who's a statutory seller can be jointly and severally liable. So I made a video about that. And I said, if I was a plaintiff's lawyer, which I am, and I was looking to, like why shouldn't, I'm not going to name names because I don't want to, impart, but the influencers who are grifting these coins, a lot of them have a lot of money. And so
that's why they're grifting the coins, is because they have a lot of influence. They make a lot of money. They have a big following.
Right. So I would anticipate that some of these influencers get sued under that same cause of action, or at least that's what I would do if I had the free time to sue those people. I'd probably go after that same deal and, sue somebody who's got $10 million for $10 million.
Yeah. Especially if a big chunk of that $10 million came from their misrepresentation of a coin.
Right.
Alex Blackfoot said, yes, Jim Adler had a booth at Matsuri. Osmandius says, it's attorney Tom, MTV's Daria's brother.
I don't get that reference, but
you never watched Daria on MTV?
No.
Oh, it's a good show. Timothy Reaper says, how much money would it take you guys to cosplay Ace Attorney at the next Anime Matsuri? How much extra to get your ladies involved? More. That's my answer to that question. Whatever you think, more. Okay, next we've got, where were we? I missed a couple of these during the earlier show, so I'll read these real quick. Arthur Nick says, reconstitute U.S. to form a more perfect union by Mitch Nemo and Arthur Nix has proposals to increase liberty in America. Ebook and paperback books at books2read.com/constitute audiobook by Arthur Nix exclusively at ridgedalebrand.locals.com. Over 11 copies sold. And this is it. Look, guys, I've gone through the book. It is a very interesting sort of proposal to have sort of a Bill of Rights for speech and liberty involving the internet. You should check it out. It's an interesting thing. If that's what you're into, give it a look-see. Xander's Rand says, Lady Rackets, did Drex tell you his backup plan in case of Nick's demise? Anonymous says, congratulations on pregnant. We're not pregnant. Guys, Lady Rackets and I are old. We're not having any more kids. And we love kids, but oh my God, I do not want a sixth one. The Dragon's Treasure says, I'm pleased to announce the first ever gay wedding on Rekieta Law's Discord, sanctioned by Soder himself. The T-Man and Magnus are tying the knot. Be sure to endlessly contact Magnus and offer their blessings. Buy tea to replace wedding presents. Oh man, I'm so proud of you and Magnus. It's great that he's come out, and I hope you have a happy gay marriage together. Bad Dragonite says the funniest part about the computer restrictions in Cali is that's where a ton of AI research goes, and it's where Silicon Valley is, waiting to see if it screws big tech even a bit, or if California turns a blind eye to them. Do you think Google is going to have trouble getting top end processing?
No.
Not a chance. They will get whatever they need. It's literally consumers that are going to get screwed on this one. And the funniest part to me is it's consumer content creators that are really like the esports guys, all the esports teams that live in California that need the best graphics cards and best processors to have the actual lowest latency they can produce. They're the ones who can't get them now. And that's funny to me.
Yeah. I mean, grift.
Bad Dragon,
Another grift.
If Tom gets canceled for anything, it'll be saying that Berserk isn't memorable. Though still not as bad as Nick getting canceled for saying video game storytelling is all bad. It all is. It's all terrible. Unrelated, but prayers for Crowder with the complications on his surgery. I haven't been following that. I'll have to check it out. Xander's Rand says, why does attorney Tom look like the guy holds girlfriend hostage TikTok guy? Nick, if he does not know, show him. Tom, would you let Nick step on you? Are you familiar with that? The guy holds girlfriend.
Oh yeah, that's Marcus, the news guy. And every time that he makes a TikTok, the whole community just adds to it. It's one of the funniest things of all time. I love it.
And the one where he brings his girlfriend on stream, and then it's like the guy like adds a gun to his head. It just keeps zooming out with more. It's so funny.
And then it gets to like the president with the SWAT team, like our best men are on it. And it's got this whole SWAT team going. It's one of the it's hilarious. That is an A+ content.
Would you let me step on you?
Then
What if I was dressed up in an anime girl maid outfit?
yes, for sure.
That'll never happen then. That's too bad. Racket says, Tom, please introduce your editors as assistants to Nick. Nick, please keep their contact info, because even if you don't need their services now, no, I do. No, I have editors who have sent me beautiful resumes. It's my fault, and I'm going to be reaching out to them ASAP. You may need them in a tight spot later. Link if you pass out on the couch due to being a narcoleptic. Lol. Yes, thank you. Okay. We've got, oh God, where did I leave off? I got to find the right spot here. Thank you, YouTube. Where did it go? I just passed it. I was at the spot and YouTube screwed me over. Jackson Kai says, my house flooded. My insurance agent was working every angle to not pay. My neighbor realized it was her fault and took responsibility. He spent 30 minutes trying to convince her it wasn't her fault.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Tom Bombadil says, as two men ingrained in the rules of our society, how do you feel about its degradation and probable collapse in our children's lifetime?
Yeah, I'm more concerned about what about our lifetime? I mean, I worry about I don't want to be like all doomsday-y, but
No.
We've
got real political divide, like scary levels of political divide.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to, I've kind of been looking at cheaper land, kind of in some more rural places where I could have, like you kind of spin it as like a ranch or whatever. But just in case shit happens, like I live in a big city, right? Like what if there's just huge upheaval or mobs and they want to, for whatever reason, they just want to destroy everything or shit hits the fan. I mean, I think people have not a misunderstanding, I guess an ignorance is a better word, of how bad things can get and how quickly they can get. And it's been proven throughout history. I mean, the French Revolution, right? I mean, they were killing people left and right with no regard, right? Or throughout
when they ran out of people to kill, they killed the executioners.
Right. Or any of the world wars. And we're not too far removed from that, right? And it is just a matter of fact that we're one, mob rule away from it going too far, right? And it affecting, a lot of innocent people. And it's scary. And I don't even know what initially got us on this topic, but
here's the super chat. Look, but the most important thing is I know where you can buy just shy of 8 acres in rural Minnesota. So just in case you're ever wondering, I know where you can do that. And it's a beautiful rental property at the moment. And just if you're ever curious, you just let me know.
All right. Well, I might take you up on that.
Nova Zero says, I had my reservations before, but I take back everything I ever thought before. Purge the Supreme Court of the United States, replace with one legal eagle and the rest with attorney Toms.
Yeah, that'd be funny. I the worst job in the world. You could not pay me to be a judge. You could not pay me to be a judge. I could not imagine doing that job. It just sounds terrible. But with that said, if somebody gave me the phone call and said, I'm going to put you on the Supreme Court, that's like the only time I would actually seriously consider it. And I'm not even committing to it.
Yeah.
That was like, being a judge would be the worst thing ever.
So someone asked this comes from yesterday's chat. Someone asked me and Joe Neerman, they're like, what would you do? Like, what would if you had to pick an entire Supreme Court, but one of them had to be Legal Eagle and the rest were all legal YouTubers, who would you pick? And I said, well, okay, Legal Eagle plus 7 Attorney Toms. That was my answer. So that's what I go with.
Oh man, who would I put? So is Legal Eagle the Chief Justice?
No, he's just one of the justices.
Okay.
But then the other 8 justices have to be YouTube lawyers.
Yeah. But is it the same YouTube lawyer, or can there be 8 different YouTube lawyers?
I made up the rule and I put you as 7 of them or whatever.
If you put, here's the problem with me, which might be a good thing. If you put 7 of me on the Supreme Court, I'm pretty sure like the rulings would be drastically inconsistent. Like
disagree with each other.
Yeah, like what Tom 1 would think would disagree with Tom 2 and Tom 3. Like you'd have like very, so basically what I'm getting at is what would end up happening is if you had 8 of me, it'd basically just be a Supreme Court of Legal Eagle because Tom would just disagree with Tom. It'd be a 4-4 split and Legal Eagle would be the deciding vote every time.
I'd hope one of you would stab another one of you.
Yeah.
We haven't had enough Supreme Court stabbings. Like internecine fights in the Supreme Court need to happen.
No, that would be awesome.
Eagle Loan says Ty said he could not be a judge due to all the crying lawyers. Ty said he would never be a judge because he wouldn't take the pay cut.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, exactly. And also like the vacation, right? I mean, here's the problem. You're a judge. You're not making that much money. And
Supreme Court justices make like $400,000 a year. They do okay.
Yeah, they do okay. But anyway, even if the money's okay, if you are not, like, let's just say you're on vacation. If you're not at a hearing or doing your job, it's not going to get done. Being a lawyer, owning a business, if I want to go on vacation, I'm just going to make my employees do the work. I have an associate attorney, right? So there's a freedom in that. If you're a judge and you take a vacation, especially a trial judge, a district court judge or whatever, lower court level, you take a vacation, your entire docket stalls. It is still coming back. You've basically just created a backlog. And so just logistically, that would never work for me. I mean, it would be terrible.
Russell Wallace Warren says online scum. Oof, I can't even. Mexican Flash says Lady Rackets is cooler than Nick. You don't say. Rendaphone says, Nick, how tall are you? Just watch your stream at the con the other day. You tower above everyone else. I'm about 6'2" to 6'3", somewhere in there. Wolfgang Deo says, lol. So that is why idiots in your comments speak of ignoring notifications. They're only used to one comment of 10,000 in their notifications. Joe Sullivan says, oh yeah. Because sometimes I'll respond to a comment and then someone will be arguing with me. It's usually someone hostile. And like, they'll be like, why aren't you responding? What, you afraid? You like ran away? It's like, no, literally, buddy. I get so many notifications. I just missed it.
Right.
Joe Sullivan says, hi, Attorney Tom. Can you talk about your lawsuit against Prime Inc.? I find it really hard to believe they did that purposely. I know the company culture and safety is its top priority. I assume you cannot talk about that.
Well, that's the case where I helped pick the jury. We got the $12,450,000 verdict. I was part of the trial team. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, everything I said is pretty much in that video. I mean, basically the gist of it, this guy who was allowed to drive for Prime had, again, it's been a couple years. So it was like 40, 50, 60 internal safety violations, multiple, on his record, including multiple preventable crashes. that's all the stuff that came out, and I guess they're asking about how that happened. And the short answer is I don't know how it happened, but that's what the evidence showed.
Look,
right?
a company can value safety and make all sorts of efforts to make things safe and still have people screw up, and the company can be liable for that screw up.
Right.
Like you can be safe 364 days out of the year, but if on that 365th day it was a Christmas rush or whatever it was, and you ordered a trucker to stay on the road, and that trucker falls asleep because he didn't have his mandatory sleep break, and he runs over a kid, then that's what happens. Like, and it doesn't matter how much the company values safety. If they fail at one point, they're liable for that.
Yeah, but going back, this wasn't just one.
I have no idea what.
This driver was there for a long time. He should have never been a driver for them to begin with. Actually, it was a really sad situation. We had a client who was really, 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 really hurt. Yeah, I mean, that's just kind of the gist of it. I mean, I'm not going to get into, Prime as a company. I can just tell you from that one case, that was kind of the gist.
I don't even know who Prime is.
They're the largest or second largest privately held trucking company. And, it's just, it is what it is. I don't want to say, in case I get another case against them, I don't want to say too much on stream.
Yeah. You've already said
but
too much.
check out that video. Everything, that was put in. I mean, everything that was in there was put into evidence in court, so it's, that's public record. So.
Michael Janoski, thank you for the donation. There's no message attached. No one important says, did you get my Twitter DM about Nux Taku flexing on a certain DBZ voice actor, wreck their con line numbers, etc.? I saw something, but I haven't watched what you sent me. I was very busy today. Sorry. Joshua Sanabria says, first anime I ever saw was Little Nemo Adventures in Slumberland. No idea it was the animes. I watch them like I watch Looney Tunes. Stephen F says, on your question of where Jacob Bellington / PR firm money is coming from, he's apparently police. His department funds it, auto deduct from regular pay. A cop doesn't make enough money to do that. I don't know that he's police. He's got a lot of weird charges and stuff. I'm going to look into it. Trucker Rob says, if I get into a wreck, I want Tom to represent the other party. Got to respect the grift. Stephen F says, typical for police departments to require their officers to deal with one law firm. Firm is paid with small fraction of officers' pay every month. DPD does this. Jackson Kai says, I had a paramedic friend. He had 101 jokes about dead bodies and injuries from orgies. Don't put stuff in your butt. There you go. Ria Banerjee, welcome to Lawyer Status. Thank you for joining the channel. Versi says, just before turning the stream on, I was having a rage prayer about why should I even keep trying? I keep failing. I turned the stream on. You're talking about just the topic I was praying about. Thanks, Nick and Tom. Hey, there you go. Blackwing02 says, do either of you have any thoughts on the unholy coupling of the ADL and PayPal to help prevent funding extremist groups? Yeah, mine is simple. Don't censor and don't waste time doing this stuff. Like, just be neutral to everybody who wants. No one thinks that PayPal is like funding extremism, in my opinion. No one thinks like, because some people say something about the Jews or whatever that PayPal endorses that content, in my opinion. But this is coming as someone who PayPal has canceled, by the way. So there you go. I don't know. Did you have any thoughts on that?
I have no thoughts because I don't even know. Honestly, I'm not up to date with that. I have no idea what's happening. I don't even know. Like I know PayPal. Who the hell's the ADL?
The Anti-Defamation League. It's a pro-Jewish sort of anti-discrimination versus Jews. It's a Jewish advocacy group. That's the easiest way. But it's like the big one. It's like the biggest one. Okay, Blackwing02. Wait, I read that one. Eldon Bainling says, hey, Tom, can you say Team No Balls Rocks? Thanks.
Team No Balls Rocks.
Okay, there you go. Fan Advocacy Network says, Tom, present your best lawyer argument to convince Nick to get stepped on live on stream at the next Anime Matsuri.
Nick, My argument is the following. It will generate lots of views, which will then in turn turn into lots of dollars in your pocket.
I offer you $5 as settlement to resolve this dispute.
Okay. Done. There we go. It's done.
Jackson guy says, since I can't buy a computer now, going to point out Jared Polis was with boyfriend for 17 years and 2 kids before just getting married this year. Okay. I don't know who Jared Polis is. Wolfgang Deo says, go hard the first time and you will only need anal reconstructive surgery once. That's horrifying. And then there's just a couple more. Federal unemployment tax says in Trump voice, Attorney Tom, how many receptacles on the Federal Unemployment Tax Act? 2 or 0? It's a beautiful act. It's a wonderful act, but we need to know how many receptacles there need to be. Any answer to that, Tom?
I've no answer. I've no answer. I don't even
Tom,
know.
have you heard about the Malaysian government seizing $6 million worth of Bitcoin equipment and then destroying it?
I saw that video. It's hilarious.
So incompetent, the IRS at least auctions. What a waste.
What a
waste of stuff. Like, let's steamroll it. It's like, why don't you just sell it? Kool-Aid Man says, oh yeah. So Nick, with my latest amputee fetish, I found a legless woman that agreed to use her fake legs as oars in a boat floating in my pitcher. She tosses on a raincoat and talks about the hurricane while I'm banging 2 one-legged women, which counts as 1. Okay, thank you, Kool-Aid Man. Federal unemployment tax says Joe Biden created the 1994 crime bill, which destroyed the criminal justice system. Absolutely terrible. Joe wanted all the blacks in jail so they could be used for prison labor, like workers that are for free, kind of like slavery. Reminds me of that. Like the Southern Democrats, Joe wants criminal reform, pardon the blacks, and drug users. Okay, there you go. Thank you, Donald Trump. Bad Dragonite says you should get Tom in touch with Nux Taku since he's a VTuber now. And Anonymous, the final one says, please post the link to this GoFundMe. HTTPS GoFundMe.com. Hit and run takes mom's life and injures dad. My cousin and his wife were hit and run at a crosswalk Sunday night. Oh my God, she died. He hasn't awakened yet. $2 medical and funeral expenses. Well, let me put that in the chat. That is a horrifying
it sucks.
Thing, man. I don't know how to. I put it in the chat so the mods can also send that. If you guys want to check that out. That is an awful story. Sorry to hear that. Well, on that bright and sad note, I guess let's go ahead and end the show. You stayed here way too long. You really should have thrown me to the curb. You should have been like, what the hell am I doing here?
This is the latest I've ever been up, I think, ever.
That's why you finished law school in 2 years.
Yes. Fantastic. I am so unbelievably tired.
Yeah, let's go.
But it was a lot of fun.
I did not miss a Pastor Flash chat. I read every single chat that came in. All of them. You can't even at me. No, yeah, Tom, should Fuda have balls or no balls? I read that one. All right, we covered this. All right, buddy. Well, let's end the show. No, Pastor Flash, I did not miss that $20 chat. I read it. It says, great to see Attorney Tom here. Now the important question, Nick, Tom, should Fuda have balls or no balls? We read that one. We covered it. Don't you lie to me. Okay, there we go. Let's end this show.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for having me, Nick. It was a lot of fun. Engaging with the chat. I will definitely see chat in the chat because I'm a regular viewer of this stream. So it's what I watch right before I go to bed, but I usually only consume about the first 30 minutes of it. So
that's the worst part of the stream. It's the best part to watch.
Yes.
Okay. Don't leave just yet. I like to say goodbye in private, but we'll end this stream. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. I can't play the outro song through StreamYard yet because I'm an idiot. I'll figure it out soon. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good night. Peace. End the broadcast.